Beck Lover is back, bitches. What's going on, Beck?
Danny, it's always a pleasure and an honor to be back on the Danny Jones podcast. We got a lot to talk about, bro. A lot to talk about since the last episode where we spoke about the aliens and demons, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the double standards that exist, in my opinion, when it comes to Muslims versus every other religion. And I can clearly point them out. So I want to cover some of that in this episode. I also want to talk about what's going on with migrants in Europe and here in the US, and clearly another double standard. And I'm going to point these things out and let your audience decide. Just before we get into this, I just want to clarify my stance on a few things. Number one, I don't believe in open borders. Not for America, not for Europe. That's number one. Number two, this guy, Dominik Tarczynski, the MP, part of the Ministry of Poland, who was just on Valuetainment, Patrick Bet-David's podcast, basically putting all Muslims into one box. I want to address some of those things that he does and his hypocrisy and his double standards. And I do actually, in principle, agree with 90% of what he's fighting for, and what he believes in. I actually agree with his policies in protecting Poland's sovereignty and protecting the borders and putting up walls. And that's what he did. He literally built the wall, right, to protect his country. But we're going to get into why he's a hypocrite. And then lastly, I want to talk about, marriage and these slanderous accusations that are made against a religious figure of what is soon to be the world's largest religion. And that is the marriage of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, to his wife, Aisha. And the misperception people have and why it's important to address that issue publicly. And on top of that, just for the record, if someone tried to marry my daughter at 6 or 9 or 12, they would be hanging off a tree. So I want to clarify that stance. But I do want to show why anyone that wants to attack that really doesn't have a right. And I don't care what part of the world you come from, because you better start talking about your great-grandfathers first, especially you Europeans. And I'm European. You guys, before you want to attack the ancient Arabs of the 6th century and 7th century, you better look in the mirror to your uncles and your grandfathers from not even 80 years ago. Yeah, I know. We're gonna, and I got receipts, Danny. So how do you want me to take this thing?
Wherever you want to go, brother. I'm ready for this ride.
Did you see?
I'm buckled up. I got my seatbelt strapped in.
We're doing very important work. I don't know if you realize it at the time.
Huh?
I don't know if you realize it. I mean, all of your work is important, but as far as interfaith understanding between Christians and Muslims, which I think is very important to push back to not allow what I believe will be one of the main instigators of World War III, is an interreligious battle between Christians and Muslims. That's not something I want. And I don't think that's what Muslims want. I don't think that's what Christians want. But I feel like there's a lot of agitators in the background that's what they want.
Why do you think it'll be between Christians and Muslims?
Because just look at the animosity they try to build between these two communities, right?
Yeah, but the Muslim world is not a threat to America, right?
But there's plenty of Americans that feel that they are.
I mean, it is to an extent, right? Like when you have suicide bombers and you have terrorist attacks and stuff like that. But if it was an all-out war, I mean, the United States could flatten the whole Middle East if they wanted. The problem is Russia and China, Iran, however.
But Russia is aligning itself with certain parts of the Muslim world, right? So, and what's funny is that even in Muslim prophecy, they believe towards the end of time, there will be an alliance between a certain group of Christians and a certain group of Muslims who will fight against the Antichrist and his army. So there's actually a Christian-Muslim alliance. We believe in our end of time signs where they join forces to fight against the forces of the Antichrist, which is not what this episode's about.
Who's the Antichrist?
The Antichrist will be, and again, that's not the word for it in Islam. The word in Islam is the Dajjal. Dajjal means the false one. Al-Dajjal. Al-Masih al-Dajjal, the false Messiah. Based on Christian and Muslim perspectives, that figure will be someone who rules from Jerusalem, who will be a physical being. You can see them. There will be a human being who is instead of the real Christ, instead of the real Messiah, meaning Jesus, or Isa as they say in Arabic. There will be a human being who acts like he's the Messiah, who promises to save the world at a time when the world is in complete and utter chaos. And this person, this is also based on the Christian perspective, this person who will come to deceive humanity, to worship him instead of God, will be in place of the real Messiah. And the only place that he can fool the world that he's the chosen one is from Jerusalem itself. Because he has to occupy the third temple. He has to deceive humanity that he is the Messiah and not Jesus Christ himself. And that is in the Christian perspective and the Muslim perspective. You know, Revelations, end of the world, mark of the beast, that's more of the Christian, look on it. But they both have the same concept of a false Messiah who will have supernatural power that will deceive the masses of humanity, except for those that either, depending on what denomination of Christianity, get raptured before that happens, or, are present during his time but don't fall into his deception. He's the great deceiver. In Islam, the symbol for the Antichrist is the one eye. The one eye that you see even on the back of the US dollar. And what's interesting is when you look at that, it says Annuitas Conceptus. Conceptus, I can't pronounce Latin that great. Novus Ordo Seclorum. It's a symbol of the house of Pharaoh. Pharaoh was the last human being on earth, right, who says, I am God. The Pharaoh of Egypt was, I am God, right? Mm-hmm. But he wasn't God because he was destroyed by the true God. He was drowned at the bottom of that sea. That eye, which comes down, so my interpretation and many scholars is that the Annuitas Conceptus means he is pleased with our work. Well, who's pleased? Because that's what that means, Annuit Conceptus. Who's pleased?
What does that mean in what language?
Latin. Now the Novus
Type it in, Steve.
Novus Odor Seclorum. If I'm not mistaken, that's the translation.
Let's verify. We can pull up the
I know the Novus Odor Seclorum means new secular order.
What's the
So the new secular order meaning when you wipe out religion, what do you wipe out? He favors our undertakings.
Annuit Conceptus. Can you click on it?
He favors our undertaking. He is pleased with our work, is what it means. Well, if you're taking out religion, novos ordo seclorum, meaning a secular order. Secular means you're wiping out religion.
I approve.
When you wipe out religion, who are you wiping out in essence? You're wiping out God. So who could be pleased? It's not God the way they want us to think. Why would God be pleased that we're wiping out religion? Think about that. So who's the who that they're happy about? Who's this person that's pleased that they're creating a secular world? We're seeing what secularization looks like. The breakdown of the nuclear family. These are conservative values.
I've noticed more than anything right now insane uprising in Christianity. It's more and I'm happy about that. I mean, I just talked about this the other day. Like, I literally watched a podcast where Russell Brand and Alex Jones are praying to Jesus Christ before they start a podcast. It's like a 5-minute prayer.
As a Muslim. And this is why what we're doing with, like, and I thank you so much, man. Like, seriously, forget the impact you've had on my career. I'm serious, bro. Like, I haven't reaped the riches from it, but you've helped me really catapult my voice and my message. We've covered these in previous episodes. Man, I lost family in a war. I lost 28 people. They were massacred by the Serbian military during the Kosovo War in 1998. And there's plenty of videos. You can do the research during the Bosnian War, Croatia, Kosovo. You have plenty of videos of Serbian monks, right? Blessing Serb soldiers before they commit atrocities.
Right.
My family was massacred by Christians. I never once in my entire life ever blamed Christianity for what happened to my family. So why am I not given the same respect as a member of what is soon to be the largest faith in the world? And that's what this episode today is about. I'm going to show the double standards. I'm going to show how you have bias in your heart if you're watching this episode and you don't really know why you hate Muslims except you've seen a few movies on TV and have been programmed to feel this way towards the people, because I feel like all that does is dehumanize the Muslim world, so that when bombs are dropping in places that maybe shouldn't have had bombs dropped on them, you're desensitized and you don't care. They got those Muslims, those pedophiles, those women-hating people, those satanic people.
Well, okay.
But as a Muslim,
right,
I am so happy that there's a resurrection of Christianity, of people believing in God. I don't know what the fuck this drink's doing right now to me. It's hitting right now. So.
That's kidding, right? It's like good.
So it's very good. And I do drink a lot of kratom.
White Rabbit kratom, baby.
I do drink a lot of kratom here and there, folks, as I don't drink alcohol. These types of drinks, by the way, and I'm not sponsored by them, but I would love to be. I've been drinking kratom for over a decade. And I've taken long breaks from it, and I usually drink crushed leaf and all that stuff. So
there's different versions of it, right?
There's a lot of different strands. There's red, there's green, there's gold, there's white. Some of them spike you up in energy. Some of them make you very sedated.
So
this one definitely has. This one's more up.
If you drink one of these, it gives you super.
This feels like
focus.
This feels like this has white strand in it. I could tell that. I mean, I've been drinking. So yeah, it's very.
If you drink two of them, you're just like mellow.
No, you're done. Yeah, then it sedates.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, there's initial. You get up and then sedates.
Mm-hmm.
So good stuff.
I do one a day.
Good stuff.
I very rarely will do two of those in a day.
Getting back to where I was is, it's important that we understand what's real and what's not. I do believe there's a global agenda. I believe there's people behind the scenes that are putting the world on fire to create one secular order for the entire world. This is bigger than the U.S.
What do you mean when you say one secular order for the entire world?
A world completely without God. The perfect environment for what Christians and Muslims believe to be the Antichrist, the false Messiah. This being that will come to deceive the world, to trick the world into worshiping him instead of the Creator. So that's something that Muslims and Christians have in common. Jews never accepted Christ as the Messiah. But Muslims do believe he's the Messiah. They just don't think he's divine. We don't worship Jesus Christ. We only pray to God. But we love Jesus Christ. We believe in all his miracles. We believe in his miraculous birth. We believe he was born to the Virgin Mary. She's the most important woman in all of Islam. And if we're being fair here, I think it's the Muslim women who kind of dress like her and, kind of cover their modesty like she does. I mean, if we were in the streets and someone stopped a random majority
How old was she when she had Jesus?
So the Christian scholars say if they all say that unanimously she was probably around the age of 12.
12, right.
When the father, based on Christianity, placed Christ into her womb, which is fine. That's past the age of puberty in 99% of the times, right? So she was of childbearing age at the age of 12. What I have a problem with is the attack of the character of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, because you got to remember, you have the Quran and then you have Hadith. Hadith are what people think the Prophet Muhammad said. I heard him say this. I heard him say that. And some of those Hadith, his wife is the author of most of them. A lot of them. The Prophet's wife that they always accuse him of being underage with her and all that stuff, because I'm avoiding certain words for, why.
Sorry, we can censor it.
So they accuse him of being a pedo. Well, I would say if he's a pedo, then all of Europe, all of America should shut their mouths.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. Pull it up, maestro. Pull up marriageable age in the USA, my brother. And I want you to read this now. Go scroll down. Now, this is up on Wikipedia, but you can do your homework because most of you don't. You want Danny to do all the work for you, and he does a phenomenal job, folks.
Thank you.
Scroll down. Okay, I don't know if this is what I told you to pull up. Go back up. Did you leave the ones I told you or no? Okay, yeah, go down. Marriage age in the U.S. Here, let's start here.
There we go.
Let's start here.
Colonial
Start at
America.
age of consent. Start at age of consent. Let people go do their homework.
In 1275, in England, as part of a law, the Statute of Westminster in 1275, it was a misdemeanor to ravish a maiden within age, whether with or without her consent. The phrase within age was interpreted by jurist Sir Edward Coke to mean the age of marriage, which at the time was 12 years old.
Okay, 12 years old. Now we're going to go down deeper into this. So 1275 is almost 600 years after the Prophet, and they consider this a normal age to have intercourse. But go down. It gets
To
even better.
ravage a maid?
Go down even more. Start right there. Actually, go down a little more. Okay. Age of consent here in the U.S. Go down.
In Delaware, the age of consent was 10.
10 at 1871. Now stop. Pause there for a second. 1871, Danny.
71.
Okay. 1,300 years after the life of the prophet, peace be upon him. And they said, no, that's too old. No, 10 is too old. We got to lower that to 7. I don't know if that's because it's Joe Biden's home state. I don't know.
Almost 100 years after America became a thing.
Okay. And they want to go now and try to prejudge and not in context. So let me give the context.
Wait. Until 1871 when it was lowered to 7 years.
Yes, that's why it's Joe Biden's home state, bro.
What?
Delaware, man.
There's a lot of people's home state. A lot of politicians.
Let's zoom out, Maestro. Continue down. 37 states, 1880. We're talking about 1,300, almost 1,300 years after the life of the Prophet Muhammad. 37 states set the age of consent at 10 years old. 10 states set the age to 12 and back and forth and so on and so forth. Okay? Hold that now. Let's go to the next one now. Pull up the royals in Europe. Let's pull it. This is America.
Yeah.
Okay, the age of consent was just changed a few years ago in New York. I think it was like 13, and they just officially changed it. Okay?
How long ago did they change it?
If I had a daughter and somebody wanted to marry her at 10, I would bury them alive.
Right.
I'm not defending in that aspect, but we need to put things into historical context. And we can't just point and say, oh, you Arabs, oh, you Middle Easterners, oh, your prophet this and you this. When let's look at Europe, man. These are the royals. People still love the royal
Look at Mary,
families.
bro. Mary was 12. She had not only was she married, she was impregnated. She was cosmically impregnated
by the father. So was the father a pedo?
Probably.
But they don't have a problem attacking Muslims and creating Islamophobia and creating hatred. If we look at their ancestors, this is all of Europe. 15 years old, 13 years old, 12 years old. They were marrying. Now, there's a difference between being engaged, Danny, and consummating the marriage. They were consummating these marriages, bro. 8 years old to a 30-year-old. Look at Cecile of France. Okay?
Where's Cecile of France?
Right there, 12th century.
Oh, it's 12th century.
Okay.
8 to 9 was married.
Yeah, okay. All right, so look in the mirror.
Yeah, it's the stuff's ubiquitous.
Yes,
the stuff's ubiquitous.
Yes, because the rule of the world, up until about 100 years ago, really until feminism, right? Until their movement, women's movement.
Child trafficking was also ubiquitous back then too. Not only was marrying kids really young and then like doing sexual stuff with children like right after they hit puberty. I think the law in like ancient Rome was like if there was some sort of abuse of an underage kid, they defined by prepubescent, it wasn't even like you don't even get in trouble. It was only like a civil lawsuit. I could, if there was damages, I could sue you or whatever.
These are centuries and centuries of the royals, princes, you name it, throughout all of Europe.
Oh my God.
Throughout of all of Europe. Yet most of the people that come from
8 or 9, Elizabeth of Cumin.
Okay, a Christian background here in the U.S. Go look at your grandparents, your great-great-grandparents, man. They were pedos. Bro. They were pedos. And you guys want to attack what? Now let me set the background of the prophet's marriage. No one knew her age. She wrote hadith. I was around 6. I was around 8. She didn't even know her own age. That's a fact. My grandmother, God rest her soul, born in Albania, they didn't keep documents. She didn't even know her own age, bro. That's a fact. I know Albanians that were engaged in the womb. They were engaged. Doesn't mean they consummated the marriage, but they were engaged. That's just the way the world was.
Right.
Families traded. You have a son, I have a daughter. That's how they kept ties. That's how they kept power. That's throughout the world.
Sure. It
Asia,
still happens today.
If we pull up Asia right now, same thing, but we don't have to. You guys go do your homework. So where am I going with all this?
Yeah, where are you going with this?
First of all, anyone that marries a 10-year-old today should be hung. Okay? I'm not saying it's right, but in context, the rule of the whole world was once a woman had her period, she was of the age she could bear children.
That's just nature.
They didn't keep track with records and this and that.
Yes.
The ancient Arabs, in what is known as the time of ignorance, before the Prophet Muhammad came, it's called Jalaliya, how they say in Arabic. I'm not Arab, but I know some words. It was the time of ignorance. These are people that were burying their daughters alive. They had a rule, the ancient Arabs, before Islam came to them, that if they had a daughter before they had a son, they were not allowed to keep a daughter. They had to have a son first. So they would bury their literally a couple of days old. They would go to the desert and bury that baby. Okay? If I'm not mistaken, you have what do you have kids-wise?
2 boys.
Okay. So you would have been okay to have a girl now. But if you would have had 2 girls before a boy, you would have buried both of them alive. Literally days after they're born. This is before Islam came to them. Women were objects.
They would have identified as males, so they'd be fine.
But you know what I mean. Well, in today's world, they would have got away with it. No, I'm a girl. I'm a girl. I'm a boy. But so, people think they know the history. They listen to a couple blips. They have people like Sam Shuman who does these debates, and I find religious debate harmful. The only reason I'm stepping up to the plate is because
You find it harmful?
I find it harmful because my mission is the opposite. I don't want Muslims and Christians going at it. I'm trying to say, yo, you guys have way more in common than you even want to admit. Clearly just proved it to you with receipts.
Yeah.
Before you attacked the nature. But then they'll say, well, Jesus did it. Well, his mother was pregnant at 12. Let's start there. Let's start there.
Right.
So if you want to be real, let's be real. But if we're going to debate to be harmful and not reach an understanding, I may never believe what you believe as a Christian. And you may never believe what I believe as a Muslim. We even have a verse in the Quran that's called the non-believers.
Or the Antichrists.
And in that verse, God tells us to say to people, hey, you that don't believe as we do, I will never believe what you believe. You will never believe what I believe. To you, your way, and to me, my way. Meaning, God's going to judge us. No Muslim can tell a Christian he's going to hell, or a Jew. We're actually a religion that still promises them salvation. Meaning, if they follow what God sent to Jesus, which I don't think they have, and I don't think they follow, because of the corruption, the way the Bible was constructed 60 to 300 years after his alleged resurrection. It was written by people like Paul who massacred the first Christians. It was spread by the Romans who were pagan, which is where I believe the concept of the Trinity comes. Yes. But from the Islamic perspective, we believe as long as you follow the original teachings of Christ, like what he said in Mark chapter 10, and a man falls beneath, on his knees in front of Jesus and says, "Oh, good master, how do I seek eternal life?" Jesus responds, "Good. Why do you call me good? Only God is good." So I'll ask the Protestant, you're telling me he's God, right? Okay, so why is God telling you not even to call him good? So how's Jesus God? Or it's either the Bible's wrong and he's God, or he's not God and the Bible's right. You can't have both. We all can read simple English.
This is it?
Okay,
this
yes,
is
brother.
The rich and the
and I can go on for days with this.
Why do you call me good? Jesus answered, no one is good except God alone. You know the commandments. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal.
Bear false testimony. It will be harder for a wealthy person to go to heaven than a camel to go through the eye of a needle, correct? Is that down there more? Let's see if I'm starting to memorize your book now, too. All I'm saying is this, and it's not to prove who's right or wrong. By debating, all the Muslim and the Christian does is push people away from God, period. The only person that's happy is the devil. There's actually verses in the Quran.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of God.
I quoted it, huh? Did I quote it?
That was on point, Beck.
So, because people don't even know anything about my faith, I can quote the Christian's book. They'll take a couple sentences out of context and try to paint this picture. And then the part I love the most is like you have all these people online, like they believe in these, like the global agenda, which I do believe in, right? And they say, well, those buildings that came down on 9/11, I was in those buildings. We spoke about this. I know you interviewed so many people, but if you go back to the previous 2 episodes, I think even the first one, I discussed how I was there that day underneath the building when it got knocked down, right? So it's not like I didn't experience it.
What were you doing there?
I was going to school, bro. Second year, sophomore year, I'm going to Pace University. Doors open, people screaming, yelling. I'm like, what the? I didn't know what was. I didn't even know the building's on fire above us. It was crazy. But I love how people go, I know that it was the Muslims didn't do it. They just blamed them to start war. Because there's a lot of people that believe that, right? I'm talking about.
What do they believe?
They believe
you're going really fast.
They
right
believe
now.
that those buildings were taken down to false flag and to do what they've done in the Middle East over the last 25 years.
Right.
There's large swaths of people that believe that.
Right.
Okay, I'm not even getting into that. But I'm talking about even non-Christians. What I find it funny is if you believe that that was a false flag and that those were destroyed by anyone else except the guy with the long beard who miraculously flew 2 jumbo jets into this building and they miraculously found the passport on the floor and they miraculously killed him and then dumped his body because they didn't want to give the American people the right.
Right.
I, as someone that was in the World Trade Center, I want to see his body. I deserve that justice.
Did you? I just saw this recently. I read something.
They just threw his body over. No pictures, no nothing. Come on, man.
Did you read the story about, and Steve, you're going to have to look this up to find the article, but there was a story that he was flown to Saudi Arabia by the CIA.
Fahrenheit 9/11. The doc had covered some of that.
He went to a hospital because he had some sort of like a thing with his liver or his pancreas.
Diabetes. No, he had diabetes.
Something was going on with him medically where he had an emergency procedure done in Saudi Arabia in a hospital. And this was like a year before 9/11. And he went to the hospital and he was being supervised there by like CIA people.
He definitely existed. I'm not denying his existence. He was a real person.
Who? Osama?
Bin Laden, yeah.
Oh.
There's people that think he's just a boogeyman. No, he existed. I just don't know if he was really alive. You know, how do we really know, bro? I wanted to see his body.
Yeah.
I think the American people deserve to see his body. As a 9/11 survivor, and I hate to use that word, but as someone that was underneath those buildings that day and watched people die right in front, I thought hundreds of thousands of people were dead that day. I mean, I cried.
You were there right under the tower before
I
it
was
collapsed?
on the E train. Last stop is World Trade. I'm underneath it, man. I'm in the sublevels coming up. I was probably on the last subway that ever went into the World Trade Center, ever. I actually have a clip of that on my it's a reel I have right now on my Instagram.
Steve, did you find anything on that Bin Laden hospital visit?
But what I'm saying is, getting back to the original point, is if you believe that was a false flag and all that, and that they weren't really responsible for it, then why do you hate Muslims so much? That group of people. I'm not saying all that believe that.
Right.
I find it to be a contradiction. If you feel that they use that as an excuse, then why so much animosity? Because there's a lot of people that believe that we don't know the truth about that day. And yes, we're off a tangent here, but that's what happens when we're together.
Are you familiar with like the history of Syria and Iran and how the idea of suicide bombers was started? Like it was called
loosely, but you have different sects, right?
The poor man's nuke, I think is what they called it. It was
they gave them keys. You're gonna
Bashar al-Assad's father was the one who, when I think the Reagan administration went into Syria during his administration, they wanted to try to find a way to push back the Americans, and then I think Assad went to Iran. And they met and they talked about this idea. That's where the whoever the leader of Iran was at the time.
It was probably his father, Bashar's father, probably.
No, but yeah, Bashar's father went to Iran to meet with whoever the head of Iran was at that time. That's where they.
It was Khomeini, man. No, 89.
Yes, I think so. I think you're right.
It had to have been Khomeini.
That's when they came up with the idea of.
Because I know Reagan was in power when the hostages were being held, right? And he got them released. Like, he's like, either you release these hostages or we're going to nuke you, or basically. And they released them right away under Reagan.
And then that's when they first started using suicide bombers.
It was not a concept of Islam.
And that's
like
how
originally.
Right. Understood. But that's when it first developed. And they started using that against the Americans in Syria. And then eventually Reagan pulled everybody out. They pulled all the Americans out because they didn't know how to deal with this.
But let's give credit to the Japanese first with their kamikazes. They're the first true kamikazers.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
There's even a famous Albanian man who technically did that, but he didn't do a suicide bombing. He learned he's one of the most gangster people you ever read about in your life. Pull up. This is the most gangster. Just you can't classify as a suicide bomber, but it's a guy that basically, which is still forbidden in Islam. I think I've explained this in episodes.
Well, here's
before.
the thing.
You can never, under any circumstance in Islam, commit suicide, even if you know you're going to die.
Right. What I'm getting at is the creation of suicide bombing
started in that time period,
in the Islamic world.
Was in that time. Between Iraq and Iran also. Those wars is when it really started.
That's when it created a different version of Islam, where somebody in Egypt, I can't remember the name of who it was now. Wahhabi?
I don't know if the Wahhabis were the ones, but to my understanding, Wahhabi movement was to create a version of Islam that has no mercy.
Yes.
And when the whole faith is about mercy.
Right.
It really is.
Right.
The first converts to Islam were really literally prisoners of war.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The prisoners of war are treated in such a fashion that they were like, this is how you treat your prisoners of war. We want to be like you guys. So they would convert because they're like, this is how you treat your prisoners. Now, you look at what they did over the last 20 years. They're chopping people's heads off in orange jumpsuits and filming it with camcorders. Like, this is not Islam to anyone that studies the religion. Mm-hmm. My whole point on this episode is, why are we not given the same respect? And why is there double standards? You want to accuse the prophet about being a pedo. What about all the scandals in the church? What about all the scandals in the church?
This Wahhabism is like a bastardized version.
Swept under the rug. One of the largest denominations of Christianity, Catholicism, swept under the fucking rug in our time.
Yeah.
Forget 600 when right now in our time.
Yeah, they're paying giant settlements.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of victims across the globe in every nation. You want to talk about a scandal? So then you as a Christian or a Catholic, you really have the audacity to point fingers and say, he was a pedo. Yo, look in the mirror. Look in the fucking mirror and be real.
Right.
I showed you why what he did is normal. We don't know her exact age. It does not matter what the hadith wrote about Aisha's marriage. Okay, but it's a tactic to create animosity towards one of the largest faiths in the world. We know for a fact that she was well past the age. She was engaged before the Prophet Muhammad. And if he was such a pedo, then why was his first wife, the love of his life,
So who's out there?
was 25 years older than him? His first wife that he didn't want to be with anyone else until after she passed? Okay? He was with her, like he went crazy for her. Khadija is his first wife. She was 25 years older than him. His enemies that wrote stuff about him, how come they never accused him of being a pedo? Because it was normal. Whatever was going on at that time, you explain to me why they were doing this 100 years ago in Europe and the US. That you explain to me. Don't talk to me about an ancient Arabian culture that you understand nothing about. The girl was clearly past the age of consummation. That we know. I don't care if it was 12, 13, whatever it was past the age of consummation. Some scholars think she might have been even 19 years old. No one knows for sure.
Right.
They want to use some hadith in a culture and a society that was not keeping accurate records. They were more of an oral people before Islam. That's why it's known as the age of ignorance. Before the Prophet came, then what happened after he came? You know a tree by its fruits. Algebra pulled Europe out of the dark ages. That's a fact. Islam was spread by the sword. Really? Yeah, there was battles. There was some wars, but Muslims were never allowed to invade Christian lands. That's a fact. I'll say it here on the record. I don't support what the Ottoman Empire did. Many of the things they did is against the tenements of Islam. You're not allowed to invade and occupy Christians. Christians and Jews have a protected class in Islam. They are known as the people of the book. Anyone that received previous revelation. Now, the Muslims believe those revelations were corrupted, which is why we needed the last testament, which is what we call the Quran. You have the Old Testament, the New Testament, which is the gospel of Christ, and the Quran, in our opinion, is the final testament, the last book that God sent to earth that he protected because any human being that puts energy into it can memorize the entire book by heart, from the first word to the last word. I'll ask the Christian audience, how much Aramaic do you speak? You can't even agree on what language Jesus Christ's book should be in. You have some in Greek. You have some in Conic Greek, by the way. It doesn't even exist anymore. Some of it's in ancient Aramaic. Some of it's in Hebrew. Well, every Muslim, whether they're white, black, whatever they are, they know that the only original version of the Quran is in Arabic. Only in Arabic. We know anything that we read in English is a translation to the best of their ability.
When was the Quran first written?
In the six. Pull it up, brother. It was after the life of the Prophet is when they finally compiled it.
Okay.
But before he died, he had many hafiz. Hafiz are those that can memorize the book by heart. I've witnessed this phenomenon many times in my life. During the month of Ramadan, you can witness this phenomenon. Okay? So that's when it ended, but then they compiled it after. I think it was Omar.
It was revealed by the angel Gabriel to the Prophet Muhammad in western Arabian towns of Mecca and Medina, beginning in 610 and ending with Muhammad's death in 632 CE. Why do they call it CE? Why is it called BC?
I have no idea. But what's important about all this is that we believe that that book was sent.
CE is basically BC, right?
I'm not an expert on that either right now. I'm fried.
What does CE mean?
They've changed it. They used to do.
They always fucking change it.
BC, AD,
BCE, CE, Common Era, Christian era. So it's
okay.
so it's AD.
It's basically AD, bro. Yes, it's AD. You see, CE and AD both refer to the current year.
610 AD.
Yeah.
Okay. Anno Domini, Common Era, BCE, before the Common Era, before Christ our Lord. You like those you like those accents?
Yeah, that's good.
Danny, so what I'm saying, brother, because this is a lot of information here. People have to listen to these types of episodes 3-4 times. And make sure you listen to the whole thing so you hit Danny's algorithm. Now listen, it is very important that I am not trying to push, but I have to push back. When you just see for 25 years, all I've seen is hatred, lies, propaganda, bullshit. Then people say, I hate what's going on in the Middle East. Well, this is why they justify it, because you guys don't know these simple things I'm trying to point out, and the double standards and the hypocrisy. And you think Muslims are supposed to they treat their women like animals. I don't want to hear about what people do in their cultures. There's a difference between culture and faith. Big difference. Religion and culture. Sometimes they're intertwined. We pray in Arabic, brother. I'm a white boy, okay? I speak English first language, Albanian second language. I am not fluent in Arabic, but I can recite many verses of the Quran in fluent Arabic. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Elhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas sirat al-mustaqim. In the name of God, the most gracious. To you alone I pray, to you alone I seek guidance. Guide me on the true path, not on the path of those who have incurred your anger or your wrath. You know, so I know what I'm saying in the Arabic language. I know what the words mean. Every Muslim prays in Arabic. Why? To preserve the book. Whether they're white, like I am, or Asian and China. They'd probably be in a camp, though, if they're a Uyghur. Why is this such a threat? It's not because we need to invade. It's because people want to. Look at everyone's becoming Muslim, bro. Who's knocking on their doors? We're not Jehovah's Witnesses. We're not going, hey, you want to be Muslim today? I've had Mormons come to my house like 30 times already. Hey, like...
Yeah, these people, it's funny how there's these...
we just saw people read. God, we dare you to read.
Yeah. There's people online that are becoming Muslims, you know, like Andrew Tate and other people. And then there's all these other people that are just like joining Christian, like becoming born-again Christians like crazy online.
And going back to that point, I'm happy, man. I'd rather have people believe, like if we had a choice, if we could say everyone believe in Christianity, like if people actually follow these faiths, any of them, even Buddhism, bro, people, if they follow them, like follow and understand the logic behind it, we would live in a better world. But people say they're this, they say they're that, and they don't follow the rules. You blow yourself up. You're not a Muslim, brother. You're going to hell forever. If you're watching this and you're some, crazy Arab dude somewhere, just want to let you know you'll probably end up going to hell forever. Not probably, you will go to hell forever. You can under no condition ever take your life in that religion. And I'll explain why. There's a concept known as the qadr. Okay, qadr in the Arabic language and the Quran means the wisdom that only God possesses, the divine wisdom. Meaning things happen and we don't know, right? So one verse in the Quran says, it may be a thing you thought was bad for you is actually good for you. And something that you thought was good for you is actually lead you to your destruction. But only God has that wisdom, right? So I'll give this scenario. And I want you to pull this up, brother. Osokuka. He was an Albanian guy that led the army in and basically did a kamikaze move. But it wasn't a bombing per se. He got the enemy. He's one of the most gangster motherfuckers that
Osokuka
ever lived, bro. Okay? Dude, this guy was rugged. Go to images for a second. Just look at this guy's images, bro.
Albanian border guard.
Shout out to my man, Joseph.
Look at this guy's mustache,
Big Joe,
bro.
Big Joe taught me about this guy's history. No, go like this guy's like a thing of legend, man. Go back to the Wikipedia. Read this guy's story, man. This dude lures in like thousands of soldiers and blows up a whole fucking thing with himself in it to take out the enemy, bro.
No shit.
Read this story. This guy should have his own movie, man. Hollywood. You want some crazy movies? We'll give it. The Albanians will give it to you. Go up. What are you doing? Read the story. He was an Albanian border guard on the Ottoman-Montenegrin border, surrounded by Montenegrin soldiers in a tower on the island of Ranina. He blew it up, killing himself and many of the Montenegrin soldiers. In the following decades, he became a rallying figure of the Albanian independence movement. So he basically lured them into this tower and blew it up.
Wow.
Scroll down. Savage. He was a straight raw dude. He gave his life. But see,
what
even
year?
that technically is
1840?
See, even there, to my understanding, even though you're fighting in war and you're willing to sacrifice your life, which is basically what you're doing when you sign up to fight in war, I don't know how God will judge that. Because I know we're not allowed to take our own lives, no matter what. Why? Because maybe it was God's wisdom that you would be captured. So let's say I'm surrounded by the enemy. I'm a goner. Or if they get me, I'm going to be tortured to death. From the Islamic perspective, it's you don't have God's wisdom. That's why Muslims, every time they say something, I just read an article today, which I would actually bring up as a reference point, of a poor man that was killed in New York last night because the car went the wrong way. He's supposed to get married today. He died last night. So he's one day before his wedding and some one-way driver smashed into his car and killed him. He thought he was going to get married today. His wife thought he's going to be his future. Now she's single again, unfortunately. I hate to even say it. But that's why the Muslim, every time they say something, they say, Inshallah, by God's will. I have plans, but God can laugh. So
right.
The reason why, my understanding, why suicide is forbidden.
Maybe she's the one who killed him.
No, I don't think so.
Maybe she got cold
life
feet.
Insurance. Well, the guy.
She got a key man insurance.
It's sad, but to think about that, to go from that point to tragedies. Really, my condolences to that family.
Yeah.
But from my understanding, Danny, as a Muslim, someone who studied theology most of his life, bro, since 4th grade, man. On my own. I don't come from a religious family. They hate me talking about religion. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between some guy that was spoon-fed his beliefs and someone that went out and sought knowledge. I'm not saying I'm God, and I also want to say I can make mistakes, and please cross-reference everything I tell you, all of you. That's both Christian, Muslim, Jew, atheist, Hindu. I can make mistakes. I can make errors. Only an arrogant person would think they know everything and are smart. So, please cross-reference my dates, things I say, because I have a responsibility to your audience and to you to give you as best as I can my knowledge, my interpretation, my studies. Why is suicide bombing forbidden? Because maybe even if I'm surrounded by the soldier and I think I'm going to get killed or I think I'm going to be tortured, right, and then killed, which is even worse, the way God would perceive it probably is, it's okay. You're going to get captured. You're going to maybe, as you get captured, 2 days later, you get rescued. You don't know. You don't know if you're going to be rescued or not. You don't have God's knowledge of tomorrow. He knows the future. It may be that it was God's will that you get captured by that army and they torture you to death so that he purges you of your sins in this life and grants you paradise. Mm-hmm. That's how he was going to let you be purified. You don't have God's wisdom. So for anyone to take their own life and try to take other people's lives, especially civilians, you're going straight to fucking hell. I can promise you in Islam, this is the doctrine. You will burn in hell for the rest of eternity. You never get out. You don't have God's wisdom. To say you have God's wisdom is to say you are God in essence. And that's what people don't understand about this faith. It's not, the Muslims are coming for you. The Muslims are coming for you. This is what they've been telling you for 25. It's orange today. It's green today. The Muslims are coming for you. Why don't we look at it the other way? That guy in Poland, Dominik Tarczynski, whatever his name, pull up his. He was just on Patrick Bet-David's podcast. I don't know if you could play the clip. Listen to the bullshit that comes out of his mouth, man.
By the way, Steven, I found that article that I was looking for with bin Laden and the CIA agents.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What's it called?
I'll send it to you right now.
Okay.
Yo, this White Rabbit is really
Just
good.
fire, right?
Yo, for someone that drinks Kratom, bro, it's good shit.
It's the best, man. I haven't.
Yeah,
never
if you
had
guys are
anything like
watching, I am an advocate for this industry, and I do have a big following. I even made an episode about what it's like to go to a kava bar and try out drinks, and because a lot of times they serve Kratom with kava, hand in hand.
I've never had kava.
Yeah, kava is great, man, but I'm just allergic to it now. I can't
Really?
have it. Yeah, it sucks. I loved it, but kava led me to this.
What does kava make you feel like?
Kava's very chill, bro. And it's made from this root in Micronesia. They grind it into a fine powder and they mix it with water. It was a ceremonial drink of the, Micro-Polynesian and Polynesian cultures of the Pacific. And they didn't have alcohol until the colonizers came, right? So they would drink this drink, and it's like, I think the legend has it that there was a mice or rats that were chewing on the root of this, and he saw that they were acting dumb. So he was like, hey, let me try it. And then that's how it was discovered, from what I understand. And then they make this drink with it. It tastes like paint. Okay, it literally tastes like if you took Benjamin Moore paint, mixed it with water, and drank it. But it's like, hey, everything that makes you feel good tastes like shit anyway, right?
Except for this. This
tastes great.
Delicious.
This is mixed. I'm saying in its raw form. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So they take the root, they mix it with water. It's really, really good. So a lot of people that want to give up alcohol, they drink kava.
Right.
People that want to kind of have a crutch to get off of heroin or deeper drugs, they use kratom as a crutch, and it has saved a lot of people's lives. I think. I'm an advocate. I'm an advocate for the industry.
It can be addictive, though.
It can be, but so can anything else.
Yeah,
I've drank it for years. I've gone years, months without touching it. Some people, the problem is, I think what happens with it, Danny, the people that are addicted to drugs, a different type of drug, when they get sober and they use this as a clutch, they use it so much to try to curb, and that's not healthy.
Right,
yeah,
not at all.
That's the only time that those people have a problem with this.
Yes.
But they're addicted to anything, but at least they don't die right away.
Right, yeah. It's
Heroin, they're playing roulette.
Right, for sure.
Cocaine, they're playing roulette.
Even alcohol. Get in that fucking car and drive when you're drunk. All right, here's the article that I was alluding to with bin Laden. CIA agent alleged to have met bin Laden in July. French report claims terrorist leader stayed in Dubai hospital. 2 months before September 11th, Osama bin Laden flew to Dubai for 10 days for treatment at an American hospital where he was visited by a local CIA agent, according to a French newspaper, Le Figaro. The disclosures are known to come from French intelligence, which is keen to reveal the ambitious role of CIA and to restrain Washington from extending the war to Iraq and elsewhere. Bin Laden is reported to have arrived in Dubai on July 4th from Quetta in Pakistan with his own personal doctor, nurse, and 4 bodyguards to be treated in the urology department. While there, he was visited by several members of his family and Saudi personalities and CIA. The CIA chief was seen in the lift on his way to see bin Laden, and later, it is alleged, boasted to friends about his contact. He was recalled to Washington soon afterwards. How fucking
And now
crazy.
he's probably in a ditch at the bottom of the Baltimore River.
This was posted by Anthony Sampson in The Guardian on Wednesday, October 31st, 2001.
Brother, there's just so much shady stuff going on, man. I'm trying to stop World War III from
Keep
breaking
going down?
out. Okay, maybe it already started.
This is fucking insane. So how do you explain that? How was he in an American hospital 2 months before 9/11 with CIA people there?
I'm not killing myself. I'm not suicidal. Say it for the record. Say it for the record, Danny Jones.
Beck Glover's not suicidal.
No, say it for yourself, too.
I'm not suicidal.
Yo, no
Far
matter
from
what,
it.
I don't give a fuck what they show you, ever. Because I just explained why you can't. If you do, you're in trouble. So, how do you explain it, bro? Times don't match up. Story doesn't match up. You don't show me the guy's body. Okay, and this is not what this episode was about, but that's why you watch the Danny Jones podcast. You never know which way it's going to go. Danny, I am trying to reverse some of the damage that was created because of that day, because of that conflict, because of where it led. There's millions of people dead because of that day, man. But now I know why people can be fooled so much. Because during the day when they were showing us the Puff Daddy video where he's railing on that poor woman, Cassie, what's released the same day? They admitted on record that they funded, you know what, overseas is what led to the gain of, you know what, function, which shut our nation down and costed millions of people their lives. We were too distracted watching Puff Daddy on a video he can't even be charged with, that they released, by the way. When they raided his home, it was the feds that got that video. So while they released that video, you have the number 2 guy admitting on record in our government, the NIH, admitting,
Fauci?
the number 2 guy.
Who's that?
I forgot. You could pull it up. He admitted to
This happened on the same day as
Yes,
the
bro, you
Diddy
didn't
shit?
know that?
No.
Where the fuck you been, Danny Jones? That same day, they released the Puff Daddy video, okay? It was on the floor, I think, of either the Congress or the Senate. It was one of the two.
Right.
Hearing, on record, yes, taxpayer money funded that lab. Yes, it funded the boom boom of function of that illness that they used to close the world down. On record, meaning your family that you lost. I lost people during that time period. My cousin, God rest his soul, from the Zherka family. My friend Izzy, who passed away in the first 3 days of COVID. My friend Haziz, his son, may he rest in peace, Rusty. Okay, I talk about this stuff because our family, our friends, they deserve justice. This is bigger than just America. This is bigger than Muslim versus Christian. This is bigger than all this crap that they use to divide us, that they use to fuel hatred, that they use to make an enemy that you can focus on. When these people at the top of these, there you go, there's the video. This is on record, man. Play the fucking soundbite.
NIH officially admits taxpayers funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan after years of denials.
And only Rand Paul's talking about it, man. Still. Okay, your family died because of this. Your friends died. Your children deserve justice, man. Your marriages ended because of this. People got divorced.
The video's already
People
over,
lost their
Steve.
business. People lost their livelihood. They kept you caged in your homes. People are still traumatized. They're wearing masks. They're scared to breathe the air that God gave them. This is the damage done to our world, the fabric of society. And you guys were focused on Puffy beating his girl. And it was on record that fucking day, bro. The same day that they released the Puffy video. The same day they released the video, it's on record. Look, and even you, and you're one of the most read I know. You're one of the most in the know people. You didn't know about this, Danny Jones?
No, I didn't.
You think it was an accident that video was released the same day? Because that's all anybody was talking about that day.
Yeah, here we go. 30
Did
seconds.
NIH fund gain-of-function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology through EcoHealth? It depends on your definition of gain of function research. If you're speaking about the generic term, yes, we did, but this is research. The generic term is research that goes on in many, many labs around the country. It is not regulated, and the reason it's not regulated is it poses no threat or harm to anybody.
That doesn't make your blood boil, bro. Huh?
They know how to make.
That doesn't make your blood boil. As an American, seriously.
There's a lot of things that America does that makes my blood boil.
Brother, but that destroyed the whole world.
Yeah.
That, using our money, I know people that lost their children, man. I know people that are injured from you know what. Okay, I have to speak in code here because we're not even in a free country anymore. So, to understand what happened there, that's my fucking enemy. That people that support that you should be forced to take things that you don't want to and you can't speak your mind. These are anti-American.
Did you see the video
ideals.
of Fauci? The video, the recorded phone call?
Can we get one episode that breaks over 500,000? Because the words we're using already mean you. It's not because the content's
all right.
not.
We censor it. We'll be fine. We've been in good.
Our highlights go crazy.
We've been in.
Our highlights, me and you go crazy.
But
I want this episode out there because it's important.
The
Man.
high priests and church fathers at YouTube have really had us in their high regards lately. We haven't gotten in any trouble recently.
Can you tell them to fucking take it easy on me, man?
You guys,
can you take it easy?
You got to cut out the
kill
inflammatory shit, man.
But what is that? Teach me, man. Give me a course. Fuck.
Too hard. Censor it. Censor it.
Okay, so how does the people know what we're talking about then?
That's the game you got to play, man.
Okay, stop saying this. You're making his job harder after the episode.
Can you? Have you seen that? You know, it's even
from now on. You should say from now on we use R to represent.
Yeah, the video of Fauci where he's on the phone. It's a recorded phone call where he's talking to. I forget who he's talking to. Steve, maybe you can find the context for this. But he's basically saying like, no vaccinations, you're getting kicked out of school. No vaccinations, you're gonna lose your job. All this stuff, and he's like,
that video was phenomenal.
He's being arrogant about it.
I just saw, and I won't mention her name, a very good friend of mine. Okay, she works in my community, and I saw she lost her eyesight in one eye, and her arm's like this, and I'm like, hey, what happened to you? She's like, I don't know. About 6 months after I took, you know what? She's like, this is what happened to me. She lost sight. She can't move her arm. She said her brother got massive blood clots in his heart. He survived. Yeah. She's like, I know no matter what they say, she's like, that's what caused it.
They didn't do real trials on it.
They were both healthy. And they thought I was stupid because I'm like, hey, guys, after 9/11, they told me that the air was safe at Pace University. I knew it wasn't safe, so I let her walk out. Then I met with the fucking EPA, who ended up lying to all of us. Christine Todd Whitman's people at the time, former Jersey governor. And she reassured all the people of Southern Manhattan that we were safe. And guess what? Today is a multi-billion-dollar fund open for anyone that lived or worked or went to school in Lower Manhattan. And they said an apology after 10 years, after more people died from that. I promise you, trusting that the air was safe, then that fell in the tower.
Is that the fund that's funded by Saudi Arabia where they have to pay all the victims?
Yeah, I guess. It's still open, too. I could still sue right now, probably get like 40, 50 grand. I don't want it, man. I don't got time for that fucking nonsense.
This real quick. So this is the Fauci thing.
You think can be done about it. I have to say that I don't see a big solution other than some sort of mandatory vaccination. I know federal officials don't like to use that term.
Once people feel empowered and protected legally, you are going to have schools, universities, and colleges are going to say, you want to come to this college, buddy? You're going to get vaccinated. Lady, you're going to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Big corporations like Amazon and Facebook and all of those others are going to say, you want to work for us, you get vaccinated.
So let's not work for any of them.
It's been proven that when you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bullshit and they get vaccinated.
Yeah, and you don't lose yours, you piece of shit. But they're going to give us, listen, we're going to get him.
That guy is the Antichrist.
Listen, we're going to get him, but that's not who I want. I want the motherfuckers above him that funded him, that used him as a cover guy, because there's more to this story than him. They're going to give us him, but we're going to get him. Public trial, rich trial.
People live in this illusion now, and it's like it goes back to hyper-normalisation. People live in this illusion.
We're living in dystopia.
We're living in, it's a hyper-normalisation thing. It's like the Soviet Union right before it fell. People live in this world where we think that the government and these politicians and these corporations control everything. They run everything. They control us. They have more power than us. But
You realize if they win,
really don't. Because did you see what happened with Theo Vaughn when he was interviewing Dana White a couple months ago? He was talking about, he randomly brought up how he was going to have on Robert Kennedy Jr. on his podcast, or he had Robert Kennedy Jr. on his podcast. And then one of his sponsors, Peloton, called him up and they were like, yo, we don't want to run, we're not running the sponsorship on his podcast, A. B, we want you to take his podcast down, take that episode down. And Dana White's sitting there while they're recording. He's like, what? He's like, these people that sell fucking stationary bikes told you couldn't post a podcast with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's an American, who is like a lawyer, who's done all this stuff. Like, they're telling you, first of all, they're going to subvert your free speech. Second of all, you have to silence this guy who's done lots of research and knows a lot about what he's talking about based on ideology.
A fucking exercise bike.
Fucking people who sell exercise bikes are going to tell you to do this. And Dana White, like in the middle of the podcast, is like, you know what? He talks to his guy on camera. He's like, what do we have in our UFC gym? What are the stationary bikes? The guy's like, Peloton. Rip them all out tomorrow and throw them in the trash. A week later, the CEO of Peloton literally steps down. He fucking has to step down from the company. Fucking,
you gotta fight. You gotta push back, bro.
Everyone online is saying, fuck Peloton. It was like the worst.
Billions of dollars they lost.
Billions of dollars.
Push back, motherfuckers. Push back.
People don't realize how much power that, I mean, obviously Theo Vaughn's got a huge voice, but.
And what's crazy to me is that people that are on the left, and again, I'm not right or left. I've made this clear many times in public record. Do I lean towards the right in principles? What it's supposed to be? Yes, but do I think they're good and the politicians there are doing a good? No. I believe in this country, everyone has the right to pursue their dream, their goals. Do in your bedroom what the fuck you want. Doesn't mean I agree with it. Doesn't mean I endorse it. Do whatever you want. It's not my business what you fuck or how you fuck. I don't care. Don't push your bullshit on me and my kids, and I promise you, we got no problems. No one has a problem, bro.
Yeah.
Because we have to be fair. If we're going to everyone gets to be treated the same, cool. But that also means if you can't make kids yourself, then shut the fuck up and stay out of the discourse. I will teach my children not to hate anyone. Don't tell me how to reach or teach my kids. If they decide to do something, that's on them later on in their life. I don't need this shit injected into their brains when they're fucking 5 years old, 10 years old. I don't need it. I respect everyone's decision to choose what they want to do. You have that right as an American. Leave me the fuck alone. Leave me and my kids alone. That's it. Leave us the fuck alone. Do your thing, man. You want to fuck two guys at the same time? You want to jump and chop? Like, go ahead, bro. Knock yourself out. Leave us alone. Do your thing. Go dance around. Pull your dinglings out. Whatever it is, I don't care. I don't have a problem with it. Just leave me and my kids alone. That's all. If my kids decide that's something they do, I can't stop them. When they turn 18, 19, 20, they feel that they want to do whatever they want to do. Go do it. That's between you and God. I raised you a certain way. You choose your path once you reach a certain age. And I truly believe that, regardless of who you are. There's plenty of people that are the best people in the world and their kids turn out to be garbage. Yeah. There's people who their parents were complete trash and they turn out to be the most amazing human beings in the world.
Yeah, it mostly goes that way, right?
It's so like, you only have so much influence even on your own children. I don't need strangers' influence on my children. Let me try to give them some of my ideals.
Yeah.
I don't need strangers trying to enforce and put shit into their heads, regardless of what it is. It's not just that lifestyle. It could be anything. I'm trying to be fair here, and I am. I think I'm very fair for someone who comes from a religious, belief and all that. But it's this animosity that I'm fighting against. There is no reason for us to be at each other's throats, and it only benefits the people like that asshole that you just played clips of, okay, that we're so focused fighting each other that he should be in fucking jail already. He should be executed, bro. He should be tried for crimes against humanity. Mm-hmm. And me and you are worried about what you're doing in the bedroom. So your dick is more important than millions of people getting killed. And vice versa. We're arguing over sexual parts. Am I this? Am I that? Like that. We're arguing this shit. And crimes against humanity were just committed that affect all of us. All of our families got killed. Mm-hmm. All of our businesses got shut down. All of us got affected by this. But because me and you were too busy fighting each other left and right, they're getting away with this shit. Mm-hmm. And they're probably taking us all with them. So we need to wake up. That's really what my mission is to unite people, man. It's not to divide. And the reason I'm pushing it back is not to do what the Christian did to me. I'm trying to turn the other fucking cheek. Let me turn the other cheek. You've invaded countries on false pretenses. You paint this picture in Hollywood that every person that's from this faith is a fucking animal or they're not a human being. You've been, your complete view of these people. And I'm not even Arab, man. But I feel an obligation when I see something that's just wrong. Like, this is wrong. I don't group anyone. I don't hate anyone. I don't care what anyone. Leave me alone. Live and let live. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard, man. Remember, my family was massacred. I never blamed, not once. I swear to God, not once. And this leads me to my next thing with this Tarczynski guy. Never once, Danny. I've been on your show how many times? Julian's show, this show, that
This is
show.
I think it's your third
time, and I feel blessed, man. I feel great. I love being on your show. You're such a great, back and forth person. Like, you're like, really, man, you put me to shame with my shit, but I'm getting there. Like, come on, man. Like, just watching that clip of him talking and the lies and the this and the that.
Yeah.
And I lost family, and I don't know if you lost anybody to the 2019 stuff. Did you lose any friends or family? I lost, man.
I know some people. I have like friends of friends. I know who.
Okay, I lost a cousin. I lost a cousin. May he rest in peace. My other cousin lost her husband. May he rest in peace. Okay, so it's like our dead deserve justice.
Even the statistics, if you look at it, like, look at the actual statistics if you really believe this shit, right? We had, I think, 16% of the COVID deaths across the world, and we are like, what percentage? Can you find the stats? What percentage of the world population the U.S. is? And if you adjust it per capita, basically by the amount of people we have in the country and how many deaths there were, we had like 10 times more deaths in our country compared to the next country in line as far as deaths. We have Do you think that's also caused by as long as we stayed down as long as we did? How much we were closed and not just
people
that, no.
depressed and drinking?
We have the highest comorbidities of any country. We have the highest percentage of obese people, obese young people, people with diabetes. I
was this close to dying by
any
then.
other fucking country.
If I didn't lose weight, I've lost about 70 since the last time I was on this.
Yeah, bro, you look great.
Okay, I'm telling you now, if you're heavy out there, listen to me closely. You have to get that weight off of you. You are going to die. I was on the verge of death. If you are snoring in your sleep, if you have sleep apnea, until you get rid of that sleep apnea, you're never going to have energy. That's why you don't feel like working out. Please listen to me. Listen to me if you're fat out there.
Yeah.
From Danny Jones Podcast. Please cut out carbs, lose the weight you need to unrestrict your neck and your airflow. Once you stop snoring, you're going to wake up and have energy. It's going to be easier to move. If you got to use a crutch or something, Ozempic, whatever the fuck it is, I'm not a doctor, get medical advice. Use something because you will die. Okay? If you're 50, 60, 70, 80 pounds of weight. But I feel alive again, man. It is worth it. It is worth living your life again. Being heavyweight and staying like that and making excuses for years, it's not fucking worth it. I will never be like that again. Bro, I'm back to life, man. I feel like I was born again. Losing 60 pounds is like the best thing that ever happened to me. Like, please save your life, man. Save your fucking life. Life is worth living. The reason you feel sad and you're depressed, you're tired all the time. You're not getting enough oxygen to your brain. This is a fact because I'm talking from my own experience, man. The minute the weight came off the neck, I'm not snoring. No more snoring. I had to start giving blood because my blood...
all because you lost weight? They got rid of it?
Just because of losing weight, man.
How did you lose all the weight? What'd you do?
I cut out carbs, man.
Cut out carbs?
Completely.
So you're keto?
I've done it twice, man.
I just watched you eat a whole motherfucking like 5
my
pound
birthday.
cookie, bro.
It's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
But it comes back quick. It comes back quick if you don't pay. Very quick. So please, man, save your lives, man.
So tell me what your diet's like. Just no carbs, no sugar.
Mostly meat,
what
vegetables,
kind of sugar
cheese.
are you eating?
None, man. That is the worst you've seen me in a while.
I mean, in general, like what kind of food are you eating every day?
Usually steak. I'm gonna steak.
Yeah,
Steak, cold cuts, burger without the bun, eggs, omelets, stuff like that. No carbs, veggies, cheese.
That's great.
My numbers are good. My cholesterol's good. Everything's fucking great.
It's crazy how much that can help everything.
And people think like it's the opposite. You eat too much meat, it can destroy. I mean, talk to your doctor, folks, but my cholesterol, everything got better.
Any fruit? No fruit?
Yeah. Fruit is like when I'm really, really like I can't take it and I want something nice. It tastes like dessert, bro. Once you start eating right, you're like,
yes.
Oh my God, this apple. Like it's fucking amazing. You're like, wow, an apple. Yeah. The banana. Yo, shout out to, fuck them. They got to pay us.
Who?
There's this company, they make these bowls with coconut and then they put like fruits on it. It tastes like ice cream, bro.
Like
but it's
an
not,
acai bowl?
But better. They make theirs like, they have that too, but they make like coconut. They got to pay you, bro. Fuck them. I give them too much money. I spend like $100 a week in their place.
Really? In New York?
It's called, bowls. I'm not giving them a shout out. They don't deserve it.
Why not?
If you want a shout out, pay Danny Jones podcast.
They don't have
we
to
worked
pay, bro.
10 fucking years, man, to get here. How long have you been podcasting, bro?
How long have I been? Not 10 years. Since like 2020.
Damn, so you just put my whole life to shit, bro. I started before all you fuckers, bro. Before you. It's funny laughing. I know it's funny. I started before you, before Julian. Man, I gotta get my game up, man. My problem is I'm too busy being the guest now.
Yeah, you're great though. You're
when
a
I
great
should
guest.
go back to, but it's weird, man. Everyone's like, I want to hear you and not your guest anymore. So I was like, okay, I'm at the crossroads in my career. Do I go full blown motivational speaker? But I love
some people are just better solo. You know, like there's like Tim Dillon. He's great. I don't want to. I don't want to watch.
Followed me, bro.
I don't want to watch.
Follows me.
That's great. I don't want to watch Tim Dillon
the man,
sit there and
dude.
interview somebody. He's not the same. If I watch him sit there and rant on shit, it's great. Same with Julian. I enjoy listening to Julian sit there and just.
And we
talk
always shout
about
you
shit.
out. So let's shout
Julian
out Julian
Dory
Dory
podcast. That's right.
Man.
I love watching him sit there by himself
And shout out
just
Matt Cox.
riff on shit for an hour. It is so goddamn entertaining. The dude is a
And
wealth
he's right
of
down
information.
the block, bro. We should be shooting this shit back and forth all fucking. I don't know why we're not doing a daily rant, or at least
I know,
every
right?
I'm right.
He lives
I'm
close to you.
literally, but I wanted to strangle him when I saw you and him in New York together. And the pictures, I'm like,
We went to
these
Jeffrey Epstein's penthouse.
I
or
was
his
gonna fucking
townhouse.
call. I was like, find me these guys. Like I would have. I swear to God, there's Albanians everywhere, but I would have found you. I swear to God, I would have found you guys in like every superintendent in New York City is Albanian.
Find these motherfuckers.
Every fucking building in New York, I'd have been like this. I'd have sent the double-headed eagle bat signal into the air. I'd be like, find me Julian Dory and Danny Jones now. And then I would have got you guys, rounded up and
we
be
were
like, how the
hanging
fuck
out-
you come to my city unannounced?
We were hanging out right in front of Epstein's
And I
townhouse,
saw that.
bro.
It was like that scene in American Gangster.
was
Don't ever come
crazy.
to the city unannounced again. That's what I would have been like. I would have got you too and be like, you ever come to the city again unannounced? I was hurt, man. We were too busy helping him build that wood table, I guess.
Yeah, I was helping.
It kind of looks like the same one.
I had to show him how to use his hands. He doesn't know how to use his hands.
I'm not that great anyway. But in any event, man, so there's a few more points I want to finish up, and then I got to fucking go. I hate leaving. Every time I come here, I hate leaving you, and I hate that I have to leave the
By the
amazing
way,
state of Florida.
Steven pulled up percentage of the U.S. population deaths versus the world. Okay, now where is this coming from, Steve? Scroll down. This is coming from CIA's website.
That's funny as fuck.
Steven pulls up mortality rates of the world. Brought to you by the CIA. Find COVID death rates.
My episodes are fucked. Every time I do an episode with you, we go off the deep end.
And you don't want to use a website like this because this shit's all going to be skewed. You don't want to use CNN. That's going to be fucking.
Listen, I know we were high.
garbage.
That I know. So if you want to.
So the problem
Our
with this, look, we're looking for something and we don't know what's real anymore.
No, we don't know what's
You
real
can't
anymore.
even fucking, you look at websites and you know it's not going to be real. We're living in this crazy world where nothing is real.
Did you pull up that clip with Tarczynski? I say his name
Oh,
different
yeah,
every
I got
time.
it. I got it.
Tarczynski.
I think it.
So my other
shit.
point was, man, and again, this whole episode is basically about how there's double standards. The hatred only seems to be pointed towards Muslims in the media, and that's what makes me angry, man. Why is a terrorist a Muslim terrorist? And they never use the word Christian terrorist when the Christian does the same fucking thing. It means, first of all, I don't think you could be a Muslim or a Christian and do any of that stuff, right? It's contradictory to the, religion to take life and do things that are wrong and blah, blah, blah. My whole point is, he's still with this stuff?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck this is.
Let it go, man.
Fuck
Drop
it,
it.
Steven.
Fuck
We're
it.
over it.
We'll do it live. So my thing is, this guy goes on Patrick Bet-David's podcast,
Okay.
Dominik Tarczynski.
Okay.
He's like a minister in the Polish parliament. He deals with the European Union. And I got to say, I agree with almost everything he said. Like, I actually support it.
Okay.
Okay? Play some of it. Let's hear
fella.
his.
You will be killed.
We've got Senate.
Yes.
In Poland is the same. We've got Polish Sejm, which is Congress, let's say, and Senate, and then President, right? So, and every country in European Union has similar system. We have 27 countries in European Union, and from every country we have delegates to the European Parliament. It's over 700 members of European parliament, depending
get to
on
the part
how
where he
big
talks
the
about the
country is, the
Muslims?
population, the representatives, the delegations are different.
Is there a
So,
certain
Yeah,
part of the video?
right there. Go back, right there.
Clip. Here's
Oh,
a
you
clip.
got it?
Yeah, go ahead, Kelly, if you can play it.
Play the
How
clip.
many refugees has Poland taken?
0.
And you're proud of that?
If you are asking me, if you are asking me about Muslims illegal immigration, none, not even one will come to Poland. Not even one if it's illegal. We took over 2 million Ukrainians who are working, who are peaceful in Poland. We will not receive even one Muslim because this is what we promised.
But I asked
This
not
quota
about
system
illegal
failed.
immigrants. I asked about refugees. And Jean-Claude Juncker, the Commission President, says that
Hit
you're
pause now.
racist.
So that's actually two separate issues in itself. But he took refugees from Ukraine, but he don't want to take them from the Muslims.
From the Gaza-Israel thing?
I don't know. This is before then, though.
Okay.
But here's my whole thing. Pull up Polish involvement, Iraq war. Just pull it up. Now let's show you why he's a fucking hypocrite. That's my only issue with him. Do I agree he should seal his borders, not just allow anyone in, protect his citizens first, protect Polish people first? Absolutely. I wish our people were doing it. I wish America was doing this. As an American, all the crime being committed in New York right now, the most violent crime. I can't just say just them, because who knows if the media is pushing it more, but it is a lot. It seems every day it's the migrants, bro, and they are a desperate population, right? Pushing people off subway tracks. We have criminals from foreign foreign countries that we don't know who the fuck they are, bro. They're kicking people off subway platforms. They're robbing. They're raping. A 9-year-old was just raped on the Upper East Side. Cops just got shot. Every last one of them was a migrant.
Yeah.
Okay? So we're letting them come in. They're committing horrible acts against the citizens of New York City and America. You have $5 billion of our resources used by Eric Adams and the last administration, projected to hit $10 billion this year. You want to overtax the hell out of New York. You want to destroy business in New York. Everyone's leaving New York. Even companies have left, just like they're leaving California. So what the fuck are we supposed to do as New York? I love New York. I don't want my city. My city's fallen, man. There's no Batman coming to save us. So when are we going to wake up, left and right, and say there's something wrong here? But they got you an ideology, you fucking moron. They think that you're going to make abortion illegal and that they're going to try to make your kids gay. And they got you two going at it while they fuck all of us.
Yeah.
That's what the fuck is going on.
That's the crazy thing about
You're scared that you're not going to be able to kill babies in your stomach anymore. You're scared they're going to make your kid gay. You fuckers go at it. That's what's going on right now. That's the ideology that they have the lines drawn. And they play these strings. Meanwhile, these assholes are on Capitol Hill at the best restaurants in D.C., flying on private jets, preaching to you about climate control while they're sipping down bottles of the most expensive wine paid for by their lobbies, while me and you don't even have enough fucking money to feed our families. That 2 packs of Doritos, I couldn't believe what groceries costed last week when I went to go buy groceries. I was looking, I said, yo, we are in Weimar, Germany, man. We are in the end of this nation if we don't wake the fuck up, bro. Our dollar's well on its way out. Well on its way out.
We bought lunch yesterday for the for my
It's
my
insane,
2 kids,
Danny.
me and my wife. We bought like about a chicken wrap and like a Cuban sandwich and like some tacos for my kid. It was $70.
Bro, Taco Bell. Was that Taco Bell?
No,
you don't
no,
eat
it
that
was
shit.
like this
Bro,
little. it was
Taco
like this
Bell's
little,
like $40. Taco Bell. Taco Bell, bro. I'm not talking about the movie Demolition Man with Sylvester
It's
Stallone.
insane, bro.
Okay, $40. It was 2 soft tacos and a
Kamala's gonna
quesadilla.
fix it, bro.
Listen, even if Trump wins, he ain't fixing shit, bro. Because when you have that much corruption beneath you, no one man or woman can save America.
No.
No one man or woman can save our nation where it is right now and how much corruption is beneath in each position, each agency. How? Bro, even look at his first term. They didn't even let the guy work. How's he going to fix it this time, bro? Unless he declares some type of martial law and gets everyone out of power. And until we get public servants to be public about their financials before they go into office, just like they like to have us tortured with agencies, they should have to reveal everything they have publicly. You want to be public, right, motherfucker? You want to be public servant? We need to see who you are before you step in office. Every year while you're in office, an audit.
Yeah.
Every year. And lobbying illegal, term limits. That's how you begin to fix America. Unless that happens, we're done. We're finished.
Yep.
So Getting back to this guy, he wants to talk about, we will not take one Muslim refugee. But you helped create them, you fucking hypocrite. You helped create them with the rest of your Polak army. Look, Polish president.
Polak army.
It just sounds funny, right?
That's racist.
No, is
You
it?
call him
I
a
love
Polak?
him. I love him. Hey, they call me a terrorist, I laugh. Strike that from the record.
No, we're leaving that. We're going to expose you.
Hey, they make those jokes themselves. Poland would send about 2,000 troops to the Persian Gulf to take part in the invasion, and the destabilization.
Oh, this is the 2003 invasion. Okay.
Yeah. And he was like, we are proud. We do not take one Muslim refugee. Then why did you help create them? Why did you help destabilize the Middle East? This single action right here is what led to the Arab Spring.
Didn't Russia help too?
They all helped, bro. My point is this. I find it hypocritical. I'm not saying they should open their doors and let these people in, but you fucking made them. You helped create how desperate they are. Because they didn't have this flood of migration until Syria
Absolutely.
fell, Iraq fell, all these countries fell. Then you had this flood of immigration.
The same way, the same way we have to instigate other countries and even not just
and we have
Muslim nations, but superpowers like
South
Russia
America
and China trying to interfere with all of their fucking goals.
But do you ever hear the migrants in America being classified as Christians? Because they're mostly Latino, the majority. They're Christian migrants.
Yeah.
No, but
most Latinos are Christians and Catholics.
But they
right?
don't use that to reference them as the migrants, right? But the Europeans, they say no, the Muslims. Like, why can't they just be called migrants?
Well,
you could
Taliban's-
be a migrant and be from Sudan. So if the majority are from Sudan, let's just say, or from Syria, shouldn't they be called Syrian migrant? Why does it have to be classified by religion? But they don't do it for the other religions.
Yeah.
These are the double standards.
Most people don't know what fucking Syria is.
But these are the double standards.
Yeah.
That I've pointed out over and over again. No, because they use these methodologies.
It's perception. It's
It's
public
the same
perception.
way when a quote-unquote terrorist takes out people with a suicide bomb, they make sure they put Muslim terrorists. When the asshole in New Zealand, was New Zealand or Australia, went into the Christchurch,
Right.
took out 100 people while they pray. Crosses all over his rifles. Manifesto talking about Christianity. Playing Serbian nationalist music. Okay? He wasn't Serbian, though. Because he thought they were amazing because they were wiping out Muslims. That's why he looked up to the Serbians, right? The war that they did in Bosnia. This guy takes out 100 Muslims that literally they welcomed him in. Welcome, brother. The first words the Muslim guy said to him, welcome, brother. The guy opened fire on him, okay? Killed 100 people while they're praying. Clearly a Christian extremist. Never called him a Christian terrorist. Why is that title only reserved for sick people, mentally ill people? Clearly, if I had to bet my life, pharmaceutical grade psychotropic drugs in every one last of these mass shooters, I'll bet my fucking life until the American people demand autopsies and blood work done on these mass shooters, we will never have the truth. But the clues are on your TV. The clues are on your TV. If you're taking such and such and experiencing suicidal thoughts, please contact your daughter immediately and stop, taking the pill.
Yeah.
If that's what's saying it on your television, imagine the shit they're being prescribed. Why aren't the American people demanding blood work on every mass shooter that should be made public? They did a mass shooting on the public. We want the mass fucking results of his blood test. Right. I bet you there's a common denominator. But as long as lobbies have trillions of dollars to conceal their footsteps and what goes wrong, it's like that movie Fight Club where he's like, well, if it's X amount, we only lose much, then we'll let people die. But remember when he's like calculating the insurance in the movie Fight Club?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Ed Norton's character?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, so then they'll do a recall if it's less than this many people die. Like, we're nothing to these people. They got you focused on your dicks, chopping them on, putting them on, changing them, make your kid gay. He's not gay. They're going to make your kids gay. You can't be gay. Kill your baby. Don't kill your baby.
Right. It's all ideology.
Yeah, and they're destroying us. Both of us, you fucking idiots.
Yep. We're easily, like I said, we don't, there's no boundaries between what's real and what's not real anymore. This ideology it's insane. I had a guy in here recently. He said the best way to describe how far America has gone down this rabbit hole is he was talking to a leader in the Congo. This is a former CIA guy. And he's like, why are you guys so cozy with the Russians? He's like, we don't get it. We're trying to do deals with you. We're trying to do business with you. But you guys keep cozying up to the Russians. What's this all about? And he goes, my brother, you guys, America promises us ideals. The Russians promise us food.
Simple.
They're practical. It's ideology versus practicality. The rest of the world is practical. We're all America is only ideological.
And we don't even live up to our own ideals. Let's be real. We don't even live up to them. I have my cousin that served in Fallujah, you know, down in Texas. And he's definitely still battling PTSD, right? And I was sad to see that he's still, after all this. And he was in those battles in Fallujah, you understand? It was really bad. And when I got down to it with him, because he was having a few and he was a little loose and opened up, and I was like, let me see if there's some way I can help heal this guy a little bit, you know? They do call me Beck Lover for a reason. So, I'm not talking about healing him like that, so take it easy. So, we start, you know, asking him some stuff, and I'm like, man, why are you still carrying these bricks on your conscience, man? Like, what's eating at your soul? And he tells me this story about how he was like, I believe a staff sergeant, and he had a crew, and his job was to train these Iraqi police that actually cared about their country, wanted to help build a new democracy post-Saddam, and he gave them their word that he would never leave them down or, you know, leave them on their own if they get into an attack, right? Because they were a target by all the insurgents from all the neighboring countries in Iraq. It was a fucking war zone of many different countries and agitators, 100%, and foreign intelligence and all that shit. He goes, one night, when they became, you know, you're working with these people every day and you think you're doing the right thing because he signed up young to protect America. You're proud of your nation. You feel like you're actually, you know, taking down a piece of shit, which I thought Saddam was a piece of shit. And helping people get their freedom, and, you know, that's why he, you know, signed up. He goes, man, I'm on the base one night and just the walkie-talkies start going up. Brian, they're coming for us. Well, the Iraqi police like, we're in trouble. We're being attacked. We're being attacked. He's like, hey, we're coming. All of a sudden, his commander tells him, step down, soldier. He's like, but these are our fucking guys. We trained them. We always told them we're not going to leave them. Like, they're under attack. Stand the fuck down. He's hearing these guys begging him, bro, calling his name, begging him. Please, you promised us. We're in trouble. He's like, bro, I had to sit there. I couldn't take it anymore. He goes, I jumped in the fucking Jeep. Me and 3 of my guys. We didn't care if we were going to get court-martialed or anything. We went right for the fucking door. These soldiers pull guns on them. I guess they get foreign soldiers to kind of guard the bases over there. So they don't have an American soldier guarding. They have like, this is what he was explaining to me. And they were like, basically, if you don't turn this Jeep around, we're going to open fire on you. Right? Imagine now. He's wanting to do what he came there for, to help the Iraqis, to fucking defend them, right? He promised he wouldn't leave them down. He had to make a decision whether he goes for it or not. He decided not to get killed. But he feels so guilty. I said, you didn't do anything wrong. You got to judge yourself sometimes on your intentions and not your actions. Why did you join the military? Did you join it to kill innocent people or protect innocent people? He's like, protect innocent people. Mm-hmm. Did you do it to help America and defend America or to oppress? He's like, I did it to defend America. So, okay. Those police, weren't you willing to literally risk your life? You jumped into a car. You were willing to drive off that base and try to go help them, right? Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah. He's like, but I hear their screams. Like, he's still haunted by the sounds of them screaming. Right. I said, my friend, you were willing to give your life for them. You were the one that was betrayed. You didn't betray them. The people above you betrayed you. They betrayed you and so many of our soldiers that they sent all over the world to fight corporate, feudalistic wars that benefit the American people zero. And I have family that, in my opinion, was used for these types of battles that, what the fuck did we accomplish in Afghanistan, bro? What did we get? Cheaper heroin for a while? I mean, what did we get?
Have you heard the stories of Afghanistan? We're sending like a couple $100 million or like $70 million a week to the Taliban
to like to not grow it, right? To not grow heroin or something. Is
that
like
why?
Or I know originally we did that for a while.
No, a lot of people are like really getting upset. There was a bill that was just passed, or not passed. But
you're talking about now? Something
right now. There was a bill that was proposed. I think so. One of the congressmen proposed a bill. I think it was Tim Burchett, to stop the funding of the Taliban. For some reason, we are giving the Taliban $70 million a week in taxpayer dollars. For some reason, we're funding them. And one of the ideas, a lot of people are getting really upset about this, but one of the reasons that I had another guy on here, he elucidated why he believes they're doing that is because the Taliban are trying to destabilize China's trade routes for like their oil and their food that are coming from that part of the world. So the Taliban are going in there and like sabotaging these Chinese trade routes. And that's the idea, is why we're giving that. So look at this.
Yeah,
Taliban
these guys,
controlled Afghanistan.
They still haven't figured out what camouflage looks like. Bro, I don't get it. Like, how do these guys beat America, bro? They don't even know what camouflage is.
Yeah. $80 million in cash
every 2
infusions every 2 weeks.
I mean, when do people wake up, man?
But they say that we're doing that to destabilize China.
Yeah, I remember when George Bush Jr. said, we're going to take out the Taliban. Well, no, you clearly didn't go there to
now
take out
watch
the
this
Taliban.
drive.
You clearly didn't take the Taliban out. We left them stronger than we found them.
We're funding them.
And now we're funding them.
We're literally funding them.
And then people think that Muslims are the bad guys. The Muslims are coming for you. Yeah, with American money. They're coming for you with American money. Brother, I can go on and on between the hypocrisy. This is my message to the audience. This is just another example of the hypocrisy. If you still have animosity towards Muslims, dig a little deeper in your life. See the bullshit. See past the propaganda. See that at the end of the day, especially if you're conservative, we're on the same fucking team, man. We really are.
Well, there definitely is a sect of these Muslims that do believe that this bombing.
There's
and death to
extremists.
America-
There's extremists in Christianity too, though.
Yeah.
And would it be safe to say that there's definitely some in Judaism too? Every religion has
I think
extremists.
that's fair to say. Yeah.
Every religion has extremists. Every group has. It doesn't mean that that represents the whole. I promise you, brother. Every faith has a group. You see, like what's going on with Candace Owens and all that stuff that's been going on. You've seen it, right? We don't need to get into too much, but you see, I don't agree with what they're like. But they're basically trying
Andrew
to equate.
Tate just got arrested again.
Yeah.
They spent the night in jail. Him and his brother.
Yeah, but they got released on
got
house
released.
arrest or whatever.
Yeah.
But my whole point is, you might have a real grievance, Candace, about certain things. But to put the entire group of people, that's where I draw the line always.
Is that what she's doing?
Well, no, but it sounds like it to some people. I would say that there's certain people that do. And I've been on some of these spaces, bro, on X. Like, they basically, every last one of them's evil. I'm like, no, they're not, bro. Some of my best friends, like, I've grown up with them. Like, they're fucking great, like, amazing.
Yeah, right. No, it's very different. There's a very big, very, very, very big difference between people who practice Judaism and Jewish people and Netanyahu's war cabinet.
Exactly.
That guy Ben Gvir, who Julian Dory taught me about. Ben Gvir is literally one of the guys who's been in Netanyahu's cabinet forever, and the guy is, by definition, a terrorist. He had a portrait of a guy on the wall in his house who literally went in and like bombed a mosque. By definition, like the guy
first ones.
reveres
I mean, if we're being
terrorists.
real, they were the first ones, man. Go learn about the King David Hotel.
What happened there?
They blew up their own shit and made it look like it was, I mean, bro, I'm trying to save your channel, not take it down.
That's okay. We'll be fine.
People need
Don't
to
worry
dig
about it.
deep.
You worry too much about this. Just let it rip.
Because look at the
By the way,
treatment I've
get
had,
this
man.
thing off your forehead. There's a piece of my thing. There's a black. There you go. You got it. Yeah, it's bothering me.
You see, but I'm traumatized because when I try to be open and have real conversations, I've paid the penalty for it, man. I got taken off Clubhouse. I definitely noticed a significant decrease on my channel, but I should have been at 1 million followers a long time ago on YouTube. I've broken the internet 1 million times. And it's not to brag. I'm not saying it from a place of arrogance. I'm saying I've put 5 years of my life into this work. I don't have no sponsorship, no help. It's just me, and I don't do it for the money because I would have stopped a long time ago. I know how dangerous hatred is. I know where it can lead. I've lost family in every fucking conflict you can think of.
Yeah.
World War II, my grandmother's 2 brothers were hung by the Nazis. Kosovo War, I lost my family. 9/11, I almost went down. So my point is, like, I understand where all this animosity comes from, and I'm trying to fight back against it, man. I do believe in the good of humanity.
Yeah.
My faith teaches me only God can judge you. No one can judge you. Only God. I don't hate anybody. It doesn't mean I agree with your thought or your life, but I believe that you have the right to. I'm taught to believe that in my own faith. You have the right to believe whatever you want. Only God can judge you. Doesn't mean I agree. Doesn't mean I think it's right. It means that's between you and God. There's people that don't believe there's one at all. And I don't blame them the way things have been. You got all these people that should really have more in common, killing each other every 2 seconds and debating and going on Patrick Bet David podcast talking about religion and just looking so much full of animosity. That's just pushing people towards not believing in God at all. It's actually hurting faith. And that's really my stance on all this. I feel like I've kind of ranted my brains out here. I mean, you want to keep going or?
Yeah, we got plenty of time, man.
Yeah.
Did you see there's the interview? I think it's an old interview that just came out of Waltz, the new VP for Kamala.
And I felt bad about the kid, man.
The kid?
Everyone was making the memes, man, and I didn't know that
ridiculous.
I didn't know he had. I made a meme myself. I'm not gonna lie. I made a meme of him, right? Not even watching the debates or nothing. I didn't know that he had certain conditions. As soon as I knew he had some type of physical or mental condition, I immediately took down the meme because I just think it's wrong, regardless of how you feel politically. I can never be a part of a joke making fun of someone that has some type of challenge or disability. Like I'm just not down with that. And that's the case, right? He has some type of learning.
I don't know. Yeah, he has something. Yeah.
But everyone memed the hell out of that kid. He was memed.
It's ridiculous, dude.
I use it for a sports reference.
The Republican versus Democrat is like Shia versus Sunni in this country now. It's insane.
Well, I would say it's further. It's more like, well, I guess you could say that. But the ideology between Sunni and Shia, it's not really that far off. It's just like who should be the ruler. And then there's more deviations of that. But there should have never been the wars between the Sunni and the Shiite based on Islam. And I just believe that's the devil at work. Same thing happened in Christianity. Same thing happened in Judaism. Even the Prophet Muhammad, in prophecies of the end of time, he said, what happened to the Christians and the Jews will happen to you also, you Muslims. And they were like, well, what do you mean? Soon you will divide like the branches of a tree. There will be 72 versions of Christians and only one of the versions is on the true path. This is what the Prophet Muhammad said. There'll be 72 versions of Judaism, only one goes on the true path. He said there'll be 73 versions.
Well, we don't know what anybody
of Islam.
Said. We don't really know what the fuck anybody said.
We weren't there, but
we weren't there. Neither were the people who wrote the fucking Bible.
But he said we would be more divided than those religions themselves. So imagine now, we talk about how this man is supposed to be full of whatever. He said that the Islamic faith would divide, it would splinter and fraction off, and that there would be more versions than even the Christians and the Jews have. This is in his tradition.
Yeah.
And that's happened. He predicted ISIS, by the way. I can give you his prophecy. He said, soon there will be those that come out from us, meaning out from the Muslims. They will grow their hair long like women's hair. Go look at the pictures of fucking ISIS, bro. They'll have long hair. He said, soon they will raise black banners, and wherever they go, they will cause fitna, meaning they will cause destruction. And when you wipe out one group, another group will pop up in its place. These are his words. He says, and you will know who they are, for they will name themselves after cities and towns. Who was the leader of ISIS? Al-Baghdadi, right?
Oh, al-Baghdadi, yeah.
This is his prophecy. He said, towards the end of time, there'll be groups that claim to be from us. If you see them praying, you will say these people are righteous. But they're not. He says they're the wood of the fire. This was his prophecy. They will be the wood of the fire. And if you hear of them, don't join their ranks. Imagine now. This is the Prophet Muhammad's words, peace be upon him. He predicted ISIS and terrorism. He said there would be groups that claim to be from us. This is in our prophecy. There's no fucking... Like, you guys are all debating and stuff. The Muslims are like, this is the first time the Muslim scholars are like, it looks like we're probably, like, we're getting close to the end of time. Like, the Christians have been saying Jesus is coming. We believe he's coming too. But this is the first time, like, our scholars are like, it's not looking too good. Like, it might actually be the time soon. Do
you think Jesus really was a divine being? Do you think he really was? Like
I don't think he was God.
Who was God's son?
He was sent by the divine. So he was created the same way Adam was, or John the Baptist. God blew his soul into Mary's womb, but he didn't physically, do something with Mary. John the Baptist's parents never had physical relations to make him. They were too old. His father was way past the age, and his mother was barren. She had no eggs. Jesus' cousin. Yeah, he had two parents, but they didn't have physical intercourse to create him. I don't know if a lot of people understand that. So yes, Jesus' birth was miraculous in the fact he had no father and there was no one physically there to get her pregnant. And of course, I do believe that as a Muslim. And it sounds crazy. You believe in a fairy tale. You've lost your fucking mind. Right. Like, that's one thing like Muslims and Christians should laugh about. Like, everyone thinks we're fucking crazy that we believe in this woman Mary who got pregnant with no man.
Right.
Muslims and Christians. So like,
you believe that the fucking sun and the moon stood still because a man on earth commanded them to, or you believe some guy actually stood here on earth and talked face to face with God? Do you believe these crazy fairy tales? You believe? I mean, something that goes so against nature. Like, if I told you
common sense, not even nature, just common sense.
If I told you I had a conversation with God face to face, came down, sat in my studio yesterday, Beck, I literally talked to God yesterday. He was standing right there. Would you believe me?
I probably wouldn't.
So why do you believe? So if somebody you know, right? You know me,
and I'm being fair here, right? I'm being very fair here.
You know I'm not a liar for the most part, for as well as you know me. And if I told you this, you probably wouldn't believe me. So why would you believe?
I might still give you more of a chance, though, for someone that I don't know at all, right? Like, because I at least know you now, kind of. It would be a little easier maybe to believe you. So but if I didn't know you at all, it'd be almost impossible to believe.
So what if I said, Beck, some guy I know who's anonymous, who I've never met,
it's even harder, right?
Told me that they talked to God.
That's crazy.
And their sources are also anonymous, and they claim that their sources were 500 years before they even fucking wrote it down in the first place.
Which is crazy.
It's all crazy.
Noah,
the first time Noah was ever written about was 1,000 years after he died.
His alleged life.
Yes.
And I do believe in Noah of the Ark. I truly do.
You know, a lot of Bible scholars believe that. Don't even believe he ever existed.
I believe in Moses. I believe they were all over. My son's name's Aaron. I named him after Moses' brother. For me, this is
how is
way
that,
more complicated to explain. And
how is that reasonable to believe?
It's not. It's not until you look deep.
I think it's the same way people like to quote unquote ET the gaps with things like the pyramids. A lot of people like to believe the pyramids. It's unreasonable to expect human beings were able to, 4,000 years ago, build these crazy structures that we wouldn't be able to do today.
Shout out to Matt Bell.
Oh yeah, look at these fucking things. Create these things, which are made out of granite, which are accurate to within the width of a human hair. They're the deviation in the circumference of these things. Right, and they're thin as paper, and they're made out of the hardest stones on earth.
And they were thick as hell.
So we can't in our minds come to a reasonable explanation with reason and logic to how these were created. So what we do is we ET the gaps. We say it was aliens. It's something that's completely unexplainable. So that's what we do with God. It is only by the gift of reason that human beings have reason that we can come up, that we are able to believe in God.
Do you believe in a higher power?
Who?
Do you believe there's a God?
I don't know.
You really don't know?
I don't know.
So you don't take a stance? I'm not saying denomination. Do you believe there's thunder up there, right?
There's
Be
thunder
careful
up there.
for this office gets
The last time there was thunder up there was when a guy was in here saying "Hail Satan" to us.
That guy?
Yeah.
So, but there's thunder every 5 minutes. I've been down here all week, man. Hurricane season in fucking Florida.
So it's only by the gift of reason.
So you don't know for yourself. You don't know personally. If you don't know if you really ascribe to a higher power creating this. You think it was by randomness?
I don't know. I definitely don't believe the stories in the Bible. I definitely don't believe that all those are real. There's way too many contradictions.
It does sound crazy. Listen to me.
There's way too many contradictions, and it's like I said. Why am I to reasonably believe an anonymous source of something that was written 1,000 years after it supposedly happened?
Do you know why I accepted Islam? It was because so many scientific miracles that couldn't be explained were in that book. I challenge anyone that's listening to this. Google scientific miracles of the Holy Quran. So for me, the reason I accept those stories of Jesus walking on water and bringing people back from the dead and Moses part of the Red Sea is not using my own logic. It's using X plus Y equals Z. I believe there is a God. There's enough scientific evidence, to me at least, to prove that there's a creator. Leaving denomination out of it all. I just don't find it anything to be random. Meaning, if the sun wasn't where it is, the 7 layers of the atmosphere, trees give us oxygen, we give them what they need, and I can go on and on and on. Like thousands of points that need to be perfect for us to even exist and to be having this conversation right now.
Right.
Like millions of points that need to be in order for you to even exist, which makes me think of this verse from the Holy Quran of which of the favors of your Lord do you deny? And it goes through this whole list that God's basically
that's what I'm trying to get at, is that because it is so incredible that we are here and that we exist, and that we were the created. When was the first human? How was the first human created? How was the first plant photosynthesis? How does all this shit work?
I believe the earth was created long before humans. I've spoke about this in our episode when we did aliens and demons. A lot of this subject matter is there, and I don't want people to get bogged down on this episode, but we spoke about this on the last pod. So go back and check it out, folks. But
that was last December.
For me, for example, let's just pull up one of these. Go ahead, scroll down, buddy. Let me just give you an example of what drew me to Islam. Do the Big Bang Theory, number 2.
Big Bang.
Here we go. So in Surah Al-Anbiya, okay, also states, this is what God says in the Quran. Chapter 21, what did he do there? Okay, chapter 21 of the Holy Quran, verse 30. What did he do here? So, have those who disbelieved not considered that the heavens and the earth were a joint entity and we separated them. In 1929, American astronomer Edwin Hubble proposed the Hubble's law, according to which all entities in space are moving away from Earth at speeds proportional to their distance. The greater the distance from Earth, the faster they are moving. Soon after this, he discovered that galaxies are moving away from each other, meaning the universe is still expanding, right? Continue down. The Big Crunch theory, like all these things that are now being proven were in this book. This is the most fascinating one, by the way. This one blew my mind away.
Embryology?
And the Surah Mu'min, which means the chapter of the believer in Islam. It says in chapter 23 of the Quran, verse 12, we created man from an extract of clay. We made him as a drop in a place of settlement firmly fixed.
Yeah.
Then we made the drop into a leech suspended thing. He describes exactly.
Yeah. There's echoes of the Sumerian text in here.
The 4 stages of the human embryo. The first microscope didn't come out till 1,000 years later. How could he have known? A man that couldn't read or write. And it goes on and on. So I see all these scientific miracles. Okay, there was no way to have known. So I'm like, okay, I see this book sung by people without even looking at it, man. Every Ramadan, bro. Every Ramadan, I see people get up in front of the mosque and lead the prayer for the whole month. They're called Hafiz. They literally recite this book without and word for word. And if they make a mistake, there's 100, 500 people that know at least one of those verses. Like everyone knows the verses. Mm-hmm. So I've witnessed many times in the last 42 years of my life where people pray then say the whole book. That's how God protected this book. That's why to me it blew my mind away as a Muslim. And that this religion said that God sent messengers and prophets throughout time all over the world. Throughout time. He didn't just pick one people. And my theory was the demonic realm shifted people away from God, through statues and idols throughout history. That's why a lot of the Anunnaki claims they make sense in some ways. But to me, that's just the deception of the devil using the same trick throughout time to get people away from the Creator. If he types in, I just want people to hear this recitation, just to understand, and I think it's a good place to maybe we can pick it up next time. Type in on YouTube, Omar El-Hishami, The Pen, okay? And just listen to how amazing this is. Most people have never even heard a recitation of this book. You understand? The Quran is not original in English. It is only original in the Arabic language. No, that's not it, brother. You're doing it wrong. Go back. Just type in O-M-A-R, not you, O-M-A-R, space, Hishabi, H-I, right there, no? H-I, there you go. Now click down and go down one more. Mm-hmm. Click that and then put The Pen.
The Pen?
Yeah, space and then The Pen.
The Pen.
I want the audience to understand the difference. Now click this and let's just listen to a little bit. This is the verse of The Pen, the chapter of the Quran, The Pen. Look at how it's recited, Danny. This is the miracle of this book. No book is recited like this. I don't speak Arabic. I'm not an Arab. But tell me what you feel, even if you don't know the words. Which of you is afflicted with madness? So in this chapter of the Quran, a couple of things I just want to point out here. A, that's the Quran, brother. It's only original and it's Arabic. Do you see how it's sung? We believe that every other book God sent to earth was corrupted, and we can prove it. I can historically prove it whenever you want. They were corrupted. They were altered. There are contradictions in there that don't make sense to the original 10 Commandments. How can you tell me Jesus is God, and then in one verse he tells you, I'm not even good. Why are you calling me good? Only God's good. So which one is it? 10 Commandments said don't make pictures, don't make images, don't worship anything but God. But you guys are making pictures, statues, crosses, idols. Forget Muhammad. Explain. And I love how Christians go, well, what do the Muslims know? Because Muhammad came 600 years after Jesus. Well, how about Jesus came how many thousands of years after Moses? Who was he then to give a new rule or a new book? Your logic for that already, you cancel yourself out. They have no argument against that. For you to argue, well, why did Muhammad come after Jesus? And then who was Jesus after Moses? And that's why I love Islam. Islam says that all of these prophets worked for the same boss. You're not allowed to make images. You're not allowed to pray to anything but God. You don't pray to Saint Peter or Saint anyone. You pray to God. He doesn't share his power with anyone. And I say he's not even because he's a man. We can't even comprehend this being. I find scientific miracles in a book written by some guy in a cave that couldn't read and write. And even if he could, how the hell? There's like 100 to 200 scientific facts in that book that no one could have known. Like, for example, that the Dead Sea is the lowest point above sea level in the entire world. There was no way Muhammad could have known this. It's impossible. That's the same area that Sodom and Gomorrah, we believe, was smashed into the earth. That's why it's called the Dead Sea. Mm-hmm. And it turned out in the last century, we found out it is the lowest surface point on earth. How could the Prophet Muhammad have known that back then? There was no way to have measured that or known. Anywhere in the world, no one could have known that. So when I see scientific facts, I know algebra came from Islam. The science and the technology, where would we be without algebra right now? But we would be as advanced as we are?
I mean, is it possible that humanity, different parts of humanity and civilizations were more advanced mathematically or technically?
I agree.
Than we are today?
There was some fusion.
And we lost knowledge?
Absolutely. It's either that or there was civilizations or different species that were on this planet that were locked into another dimension. One of my theories of the pyramids, I just came up with this recently, because I was been looking for ways to describe it for a long time. And I kind of covered this on our episode, but there was one theory that I never said on your episode when we discussed, is it aliens or demons? And that was a really big episode that I had with you. Mm-hmm. I think it was one of three things. Either A, they had knowledge that we no longer have. B, it was the demonic realm, the same way Solomon had the power to command the demonic realm. We know that Pharaoh was doing black magic. We can see that in the movie 10 Commandments when he throws his rod and Moses throws their rods and he has sorcerers and magicians, and I do believe black magic's real, 100%. I believe you can summon and work with that dimension. I believe we're in an interdimensional war in the aspect of the demonic realm versus humanity. They want to destroy us since before we were even created, the devil species, but not all of them, because the Muslims don't believe that all of them are evil. So what I think is going on is that maybe the ancient Egyptians worked with the jinn. They worshipped them. They did sacrifices, whatever they did, and they got knowledge from that demonic realm. The same way I proved to you on your show that Jack Parsons was doing all this crazy shit with Aleister Crowley. He's the reason we went to space, brother. Mm-hmm. How did Jack Parsons get to space? He tells you himself. We were doing all these rituals, and I was contacted by a being named Belial Dajjal. So just like we may have hypothetically advanced our technology today through demonic means, it's in Jack Parsons' autobiography. So for those of you that believe in that story, because I've seen your comments on my episode with Danny, if it worked now, imagine it, why wouldn't it work in the time of the Egyptians? To get knowledge that we don't possess, because that's what black magic is. You sell your soul to get knowledge or a power that you're not supposed to have. But you lose the hereafter. When you perform these rituals, you no longer have any shot of going to paradise. And I do believe there's groups of people that have sold their souls.
Where do you think this paradise is? Where do you think heaven is?
It's in a different dimension, I think. I think God is outside of the physical universe. Just like I'm outside of this pot. And God can see it. And that's why time doesn't apply, because they say time is circular once you're outside of it. So we're kind of like DVD players for God, probably. Who knows how many more species and creations he's made. We're like DVD collections that he could watch at any time. The all-seeing, the all-knowing. So for me, it's I agree with everything you said. Like I've made these jokes with people. I'm like, I know you think I'm fucking crazy. It sounds, for someone, I'm very analytical, man. Like extremely. Even I go, man, I sound like a fucking idiot. I believe some guy walked on water. I really do believe Jesus Christ walked on water. I believe he brought people back from the dead. But it wasn't his power. It was God that gave him that power. I know that there's a God, Danny. I've studied for 30 years in my life. I don't care if people believe in what I believe in. I am telling you, please look. Most people follow their religion like a tradition and not a true faith, not something that they truly believe. My dad was Catholic, so I'm Catholic. My dad was Muslim, so I'm Muslim. But like, they don't know anything about their own faiths, let alone to judge other faiths. And that's the whole point of this entire episode. Seek knowledge. Stop getting your information from biased places. Like, if you want to know about Islam, ask a Muslim. Let them explain it to you. Stop asking some guy in your church whose only mission is to keep you in his church. get your donation. Like, be fair to your discourse. Be fair to your search for knowledge. Be fair to the people you're learning about. Learn from them. Ask them. They're not going to bite you, I promise you. Some of the greatest people we look up to as Americans were Muslims. Malcolm X, who was full of hatred. He became a Muslim. That's why he died. When he actually became a true Muslim. He went from preaching hatred, the white man's the devil, to no, we're all brothers and sisters. Now imagine the switch on this guy. He sees the real Islam when he goes to Mecca. He comes back and gives his lecture. As soon as he gets off the airplane, he's like, I don't think all white people are the devil. I think we can actually live together if we all learn Islam. Bang, bang. Get your hand out of your pocket. Game over for him. The minute he started preaching the word, the true word of Islam, which is that all people are brothers and sisters, regardless of their color, their creed, or where they come from. To have racism is to be against God, for God made all creation in all colors. So for me to say one is good or the other, that was another problem I had with Christianity. So what was he? Was he white? Was he Arab? They have these debates amongst themselves. They can't even agree on his skin color, which is why God, in my opinion, would never take the shape of a man. He would never lower himself to his creation. A God prays. God gets prayed to. A God doesn't pray. Why did Jesus pray like the Muslims? Matthew chapter 26, verse 36, and we end it right here. We end it right here, right now, Danny Jones, before I miss my flight.
You got time, bro.
Yeah?
Do you think there's other worlds out there with life?
I think that there may be. I would never go to say yes or no because only God has all knowledge. I know there's definitely life on this earth in a parallel dimension, 100%.
Yeah, but do you think there's other worlds in the universe or in the galaxy that
There may be. I don't know. I know for one thing for certain, there is other things alive, Danny, in dimensions, even on this planet. The demonic realm lives on a parallel dimension to this earth. I believe there's even a crossing coming soon. I think science has figured out a way, kind of like your picture in a way, man. Like a portal. I feel like they've figured out a way to allow that. There's a way to get that dimension into this dimension, which is why they're releasing all the alien shit now.
I think they're future humans coming back.
I've heard that theory.
I recently had a guy on here to explain that thing to me, and I think I believe that. An anthropologist came here and explained it to me, and I think it makes the most sense out of everything.
I want to go and dig into that episode. You have encyclopedias, man, of theory. Like your work is phenomenal, man. It's like anyone that just wants to really go deep into any subject of life, religion, politics, like the work you've done, Julian, all of you, is just phenomenal stuff, man. I've done a little bit, nothing like you guys, not even close.
Because we are so rare, human beings, the way we look and the way we walk upright. We're so rare on this planet alone. It's astonishing. There's over 2 million cataloged species of animals on this earth.
Yeah.
20 of them are hominids. And then we are a subcategory of those 20 hominids.
And what happens if you take out...
We're the only one of the 20 that walk upright and that have figured out how to create technology to get off the planet.
What happens if you take out the ants, though?
What do you mean?
If we just wipe out the ant species, what happens?
No more ants?
No, we're all fucking dead. So as arrogant as we can be that we can walk and make spaceships, we're still relying upon the insects to be alive. We need flies and fucking fleas, and because it's called what, Danny? An ecosystem.
Yes.
I'm breathing oxygen, releasing what kills me, dioxide, carbon dioxide. The tree breathes it. There's too many things in order for this to have been random.
Right.
Too many things, too many perfect dots connecting for us to exist, which is why I know it was designed.
Yes.
It is a simulation created by the creator to try those of us that have been best in character. The game board of life is rigged, but how you respond is your salvation. How you respond is your free will. You couldn't control to what family you were born. Your timeline was set for you. You couldn't say, I'm going to be Danny Jones. I'm going to be some white boy in Tampa. Be me and Scotty. Like, no, God said you're going to be born to that family. I couldn't choose. You're going to be born to a family that's going to escape communism, get massacred. Like, my timeline was set. I can't control the things that happened to me in my life. I couldn't control that my brother died in a car accident. I say my mom's brother, but still, he was my brother. He destroyed my life when he left me. Tomorrow's a very sad day for me because I always celebrated my birthdays with him. I haven't celebrated my birthday since he passed. Tomorrow I'm going to try. I'm in a new relationship. I just don't either. It's a moment of reflection for me. I just really feel the passing of time. I know how precious every moment is. Every second. That's why when someone gives you their time, man, you can't get mad at the guy honking the horn on you if you're sleeping at the wheel. I need to go. Every minute fucking counts. If I keep missing these fucking lights because some asshole's checking their Facebook, I just lost 5 minutes of my life because I have to stay there for 5 minutes. But I also believe in the concept you're exactly where you should be through divine wisdom, which I explained earlier. My point is, Danny, I don't know where the fuck I'm going on this rant. All I'm trying to say is I don't believe there's a God, man. And I can't explain this all in 2 hours together. I know there's a God, man. And it's not because I have a hunch or a feeling. It's like too many dots connect, man. I understand these stories sound crazy. That's why I said earlier, X plus Y equals Z. I know the Quran has never changed. In the Arabic. I don't want to hear about translations. In the Arabic. Muslims pray in the Arabic. Christians can't even speak Aramaic. The majority can't even say 10 words in his language. Don't compare the two. And it's not to be arrogant. The reason we pray in Arabic is to preserve the book. That's why me, a white boy, I pray in Arabic. A Chinese Muslim prays in Arabic. Not to glorify the Arab culture. Sometimes there's a lot I disagree about it. It's to preserve what we believe to be the final book of God, which is why it has miracles that I can show you. There's no way this guy could have known, man. There's just no way. How did this guy that couldn't read and write, and even if he could read and write, how could he have known these things? That fresh water and salt water don't mix. You have to know how to calculate density. Mm-hmm. It's to the invisible eye. You can't tell they're not mixing because it kind of goes like layers, like pancakes on top of each other. You have to know how to calculate density. So to me, there's like 200-300 scientific miracles. That's what drew me. I was like, wow, okay, so scientifically this guy, like how the hell did he know? But then there's things that you are even more crazy, like the signs at the end of the world. The Prophet Muhammad said that towards the end of time, the buildings of Mecca would reach for the skies. If you look at Saudi Arabia today, they even built a massive clock tower. He even said, soon the time will come where the shadow of time covers the Kaaba. Kaaba's that black box that the Muslims pray towards. They don't worship it for your tools in the comments.
The black box.
You know, the box in Mecca that all the Muslims paint. Pull up Kaaba, man.
How do you spell it?
Kaaba.
Kaaba black box?
The black cube.
Black cube
that the Muslims pray towards. Pull up an image of that. So now, pull up that picture towards the right. You got these guys out there trying to say, oh, the Muslims, they worship the box. No, we don't worship the box because during the time of the Prophet Muhammad, they used to get on top of the box and call prayer. You're not going to stand on top of your own idol. Could you imagine a Hindu standing on top of a statue of Shiva? Or a Christian standing on top of a statue of Jesus? Oh, they worship the black stone. No, we don't. There's a concept in Islam known as niyya. Niyya means the intention.
Where's this thing?
This is in the heart of Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
We believe that this is where Abraham constructed the temple to worship the one God. He left his wife in the wilderness. Now, you see that clock tower?
Yeah.
That's one of the signs of the end of the world in Islam. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, please double research this stuff. Please double check my references because if I make an error, I'm responsible for the information that I give you as a human being to God. I'm responsible to God, not to Danny Jones, not to Google, to God. If I give you information that's incorrect or that can manipulate your opinion without giving you facts. His prophecy towards the end of time is that soon the buildings of Mecca will reach for the sky. The mountains will be pierced, which they just did. They built tunnels right through the mountains. Okay, he said this during his life. And he said, this is well recorded, he said that soon the shadow of time will cover that black box. At the time, they were looking at, well, shadow of time. How can time have a shadow? You can't see time, right?
You think he was talking about a clock tower?
Look, when that sun goes behind that tower, it casts its shadow over the box. They call it the Saha, which literally means the watch. The locals call it time, the time tower. How could he have known, man? How did he know 1,400 years ago? How did he know that he said, soon the Bedouins of our people, look at the deserts of Arabia 67 years ago, is this fucking sand there? And a bunch of camel riders, literally. Milking the camels and drinking the milk and eating dates. And hee-haw, motherfucker. That's what they were doing out there, okay? Today, the biggest skyscrapers in the world, where are they?
Dubai.
That's right. He said, soon the time will come where the Bedouins of our people will compete with one another to build buildings that touch the sky. These are his exact fucking words. Not, oh, I'm guessing. He says one will build one and then the other one will say, I can build one bigger than you.
What year was this again? 600?
This is in the 600s.
Yeah.
We're talking this started 40 years ago over there. How did the Prophet Muhammad know if he wasn't from divine influence? I dare people to research the signs of the end of the world in Islam. I fucking dare you to. How did he know about this?
I mean, you think it's that much of a stretch to be able to predict that people would build skyscraper towers?
Yeah, but think about it. He said from their people, not anyone else. They were a fucking joke before he came. They were like a forgotten civilization.
Well, maybe he was just talking about people in general.
And he said the Bedouins, and he described how they're going to boast. And think about it. That's what they're doing. They're having a race between each other to build skyscrapers. I'm going to build it. Oh, yeah, Saudi Arabia. We're going to build one bigger than you. It's exactly what he said. He said soon the time will come where a man becomes a woman and a woman becomes a man. And they will dress like one another. The family unit will be destroyed and the bastards will take over. Bastard children. Children born out of wedlock, they will be so full of rage, they will destroy all those that are around them. That's the fucking country we're in right now. The bastard generation. You said that on my first time with you, but I was right about it. The bastard generation, 90% out of wedlock. These children are full of rage. They commit 90% of violent crime because they don't have a father. Because their mother didn't want them. They were conceived with no love. Therefore, they show no love to the world. They were conceived out of deadly sins, and that's why all we have from them is death and chaos. This is the bastard generation. He predicted that also. He said that the war of all wars would start over the Euphrates River. Now, it hasn't happened yet, but that's the footwork. Syria, Iraq, Iran, Turkey. That's the Euphrates. He said a war will start there that will engulf the whole entire world. It'll be basically Armageddon. Basically Armageddon, that supposedly there's something under that river, under the Euphrates River, that the whole entire world's going to fight over. Maybe they already know, man. Maybe that's what this is all about. Maybe these powers that be already know. Maybe they read the prophecy and they went to go see what's under that river. What is under that river of the Euphrates? This is also in the Bible, by the way, that when the Euphrates River runs dry, there's end of the world stuff. But in any event, this is an episode on its own where we can go over prophecy of the end of the world in Islam. And I'd like to pick it up maybe the next time around. It would be an amazing episode. Just talk about the signs of the end of the world and maybe the correlations to Christian doctrine.
Let's do it.
In any event, brother, I got to get to that airport.
Go get to the airport, bro.
Danny,
Go back to New York City.
I love you.
I love you, brother.
There's a lot going on. As far as the migrants are concerned, I think I made my stance clear. I'm against open borders. I am for letting some people in with screening. Protect your sovereignty of your nation, but stop putting all people in one box and talking in disgusting terms because it's not fair, and we could do it to any group if we really want to. I've shown you the contradictions between what they want you to think about Muslims and their figures, and then when you look at your own, you guys are even worse, like I showed earlier in this episode, and I think I gave receipts, did I not? So all I'm saying is please be fair. Stop hating people. Look in the mirror first, and it gets real hard to throw that first stone. This is Beck Lover. You can check me out at BEK Lover NYC on Instagram. BEK, that's boy, BEKlover.com. Continue following Danny Jones for the best in podcast episodes.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Shalom, salam alaikum. God bless America. I love you. Tedua, konnichiwa. Adios.
Siet, mirapavshim.
Mirapavshim. Tunjatieta.
Adios.
Ciao, ciao.